we don't know how to handle shame at all. Like shame is probably like, now that we're talking, I think about how often shame leads us. Like if I don't want to be ashamed of like the sneakers I'm wearing or the clothes I'm got, so I'm gonna do things to fix that. Don't shame me in front of somebody else because now I gotta fix that too. You know, like there's all these ways because we're not dealing with.
Welcome back to the podcast. I started this podcast as a way to help Black men in all aspects of our lives. Studies show on average we lose 2.8 years of our life when we're under heavy stress. And I think we can gain those 2.8 years back if we express ourselves healthily. Stick with me as I interview therapists, doctors, advocates, activists, and friends about how we can be better as Black men and as a Black community. If you're not subscribed to us on YouTube and following us on Instagram and TikTok, you'll definitely want to do that. Without further ado, let's get into the episode.
All right, listen, man, I'm here with Joél.
Yeah.
Joél, man, like I said, I already know it's gonna be a dope episode.
Word.
I already know it's gonna be a dope episode from the moment when you came. It's certain people. I was talking to my girl the other day, and I was telling her, like, she gave me some really good advice about like shooting podcast episodes a while ago. She was like, you always wait for your guests to like, I had told her like, certain episodes, I have to like wait for the guest to give me like a certain energy in order for us to like get to
I totally get it. I know
you get what I'm
exactly
saying? Because the guest, like the episode is kind of about the guest. Right? But then she was like, nah, you should set the energy of the episode. I'm like, you know what? I love that.
Yeah.
But it's certain guests like you, bro.
I appreciate it.
That make it easier.
I tried.
You get what I'm saying?
It's like, listen, man, like I love Black men. I love us. So like, and also too, you're doing something really dope and really important. And
appreciate it.
And it's also met with the energy. Like, please, I don't know how to explain it. Like the text you sent back after I was like, yo, I'm on my way. There's a way that we communicate or don't communicate that's gonna tell me everything I need to know about how welcoming the space is. Like, so more often than not, we as Black men walk into spaces like, I'm trying to read where you are. And it's like, I want to take all that out the equation.
Nah,
like,
absolutely.
I'm open, I'm safe, I'm vulnerable, like, let's get it. And then, like, you're going to either respond to that in a way that's going to be either with more animosity or like safety. Like, yo, we good here.
We're straight.
Yeah.
Bro, listen, and one of the things that, you don't even realize, bro, when you came in here, that made me feel so good. When you came in, you said, yo, it smells like a home in here.
Because it do, like, if you go, like, growing up, there's like a way like a home smells. Like if I was going to my Aunt Angela's crib or like we were visiting anybody, you walk in and it just smells homely. It smells like people who lived in here. And like there's something really like ancestral and like really dope about that. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that, bro, because that's a good thing. That means I was just talking to another podcast guest about like, she's like, yo, can I take off my shoes? Can I do this? I said, yo, do whatever you want to. Like, I don't care. Like, if you want to lay on the couch, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you literally want to, if you're like, yo, you know what, kid, I really just want to lay. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just want to kick my shoes off, lay down. I'd be like, all right, bro.
But that's the thing, bro. It's like even that energy in and of itself, whether you're communicating it or not, that's setting the tone for other people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I knew there's a lot of things like, so, and I know we'll get into it, but like even when I was writing my book, a lot of what I was thinking about was some of the ways we communicate Blackness and culture that actually is unspoken. Like knowing, like, I know I'm gonna have to dap you. Like this is not like, you know what I'm saying? It's just, there's and this is not meaning to like judge other Black experiences, but like this is a knowing that happens that you don't have to necessarily say out loud.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so then you get further into the process and you like, yo, you telling someone they can lay on your couch. There's also a space and environment that you're creating in order for folks to feel safe enough to do that. Right. And like, that's the thing I think we take for granted. Like how often, to your girlfriend's point, we also too get to set the tone for the energy that people are investing in. You know, like my home, the way I'm setting up my home, the way I invite you into my home, like there's a presence about that. It's important.
Man. Listen,
let's go.
I love it, bro. I love it, bro. So you grew up in the Bronx, right?
Yes, sir.
The X, we call it the X. We call it the X, right?
Yeah.
So I know growing up in the X, it had to have been like a lot of like messages about what it means to be a man. What it means to be masculine, what masculinity actually is. What do you feel like you received growing up, and how did that shape the way you approach like masculinity and manhood?
Yeah, because we jumping right in.
Yeah, we got to.
I mean, I think a lot of what you learn in the Bronx, especially where I grew up. I grew up on Crescent Avenue in 188th. And for those that don't know, like Crescent is still very much like a hot block. Like you come off of Crescent, you're hitting Fordham Road.
Okay.
Fordham Road, the best way I can describe it for me, I know there's areas in Queens like this, but it's like Flatbush, Brooklyn. Like there's just so much happening. There's a lot of community. There's also a lot of transactional things happening because there's, you know, there's like a Jimmy Jazz. There used to be a Sammy's.
That's Jamaica Ave in Queens.
Exactly.
Okay.
There we go. Exactly.
Yeah, Jamaica
Perfect.
Ave. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you grow up seeing a lot of beauty. Like when I'm talking about the Bronx, I talk about a lot of the flavor that I got to see. You know what I'm saying? And that's both from what I saw and what I heard. You know, like you're hearing bachata, you're hearing salsa, you're hearing house music. We're the birthplace of hip hop. So there's also that energy and that tension too. That tension of also poverty, right? Like despair. And so masculinity a lot is I want to say the Bronx felt like a lot of performative masculinity, right? Like you're defending your territory, you're defending your space, you're defending yourself a lot. Like, you know what I'm saying? I grew up like having to run from bullies and shit like that, you know? And then, you know, you start realizing at a very early age, like people are categorizing you based on a number of different things as a man, like your complexion, your height, your size, right? Like we were talking earlier, you know what I'm saying? Like we as men early on learn how to size each other up.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Right? They're like, is this person a threat? Are they a homie? Could I take advantage of this situation? Subconsciously. So I'm seeing that growing up. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm seeing hand-to-hand cells. I'm seeing also too, like old heads who are trying to nurture community in that way. But masculinity for a lot of us was us teaching and learning from each other.
Right.
You know, like the old heads weren't that much older than us. Like my brother D, Dwayne is about 8 years older than me. I'm 41 now. So growing up, D was like my old head. There weren't many other older Black men who were also participating in the community in that way.
Right.
We had a couple, but a lot of what I grew up around also too was different variations of the diaspora, if you will. So Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Haitians, a lot of Caribbean energy, right? And so it was learning how to navigate that on your own, which was kind of precarious, bro. It's you learn very quickly where to go, where not to go.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Some of that is communicated verbally to you, and some of that you have to learn through trial and error, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right? Like what you're seeing other homies doing shit that you know is not appropriate.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it was that too, like us wanting to be cool, wanting to emulate what we saw in the community, and also knowing what could happen if you did emulate it. You know what I'm saying? Whether you 6 feet under, we wound up in jail. You know, so a lot of homies I grew up with, they either left the X, myself included, unfortunately. They left the X either through like moving, finding a job, relocating, or they just not here anymore. Right. To tell the stories. Or they're still there and they're still having to deal with a lot of the ways we still think about masculinity in the community, which is, again, like machismo, like I'm better than you, I'm stronger than you, as opposed to, I think, genuine community, which I think a lot of us are actually seeking.
Yeah, man, bro. First of all, I don't remember if I let you introduce yourself and like what you do. That's one. So you gotta definitely do that. But two, bro. Yo, you speak very, very well, and I don't mean that in like you're articulate.
No, I know what you mean.
You know what I'm saying? Like you have a good tone and cadence to the way that you say things. And it draws people in, bro. So I just wanted to give you that because
I appreciate
I'm
that,
enjoying just the vibe, you know what I'm saying? So I can only imagine, bro. Cause it's different being in the room versus like listening to it on like YouTube or like an episode, bro.
I hear you.
But definitely, bro, you speak very well.
Bro, I appreciate it. I mean, but it's energy, man.
Yeah.
It's like, it's also comfort.
Absolutely.
It's like you were saying, Joél Leon.
Yeah. Put the people on.
Storyteller. Girl dad, author now. My book, Everything and Nothing at Once, a Black Man's Reimagined Soundtrack to the Future, for the future, rather, dropped June 4th. Available in all, major bookstores nationwide.
That's dope. That's dope. We can't just slide over that now. We can't just slide over that. He said that's his name spot.
Bro, it's a thing I've been sitting with, man. It's I try not to get emotional about it. It's like the book is an archive for me. It's like when we talk about the Bronx, I'm talking about, and like, it's really honest. It's a love letter too. It's an archive. It's a love letter to my family, to my homies I grew up with. It's also a love letter to New York. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm talking about a lot of places that maybe didn't only solely exist in the Bronx. I'm talking about Woolworth. I'm talking about Caldor. I'm talking about Alexander's and Buster Brown. Like, I grew up in an era where a lot of these places don't exist anymore. And so for me, the book, this is why I always encourage brothers, especially young Black creatives, to like make a thing. You know what I'm saying? Because even what you're doing now exists outside of an Instagram. It exists outside of a Facebook. This is your thing that you own.
Right.
And so like for me, the book was like a physical property that when I'm gone, you know what I'm saying? Bruh, like you think about what happened to MTV News and them losing essentially all their archives, and someone had to go and redistribute and buy those things back. You know, like the book for me lives as a testimony to my life and also to the people I grew up with. But yeah, man, like I'm just a brother trying to make it, man. And trying to heal myself, heal community, build community as best as possible, and prepare us for whatever this next iteration of like radical revolution and liberation is gonna look like, especially for Black folks. And for Black men especially, and like what that means. And that means a lot of different things for us. Because we're not a monolith. And so part of the book was for me really trying to, was my attempt to express that. Like, Black men have a story. My story is not all of Black men's story, but there's a niche audience that I knew that would understand it. And also too, the Black experience is everyone's experience. So that was the goal for me as I was writing the book. And part of that is also me leaning into my role as a storyteller. So like there's prose in there, there's like the essay, it's a bunch of essays. But there's like some rhyming in there because I'm also a rapper too. So like it's just me combining all the elements of like art and literature and language and culture that I love and I'm fond of.
Nah, I love that, bro. One of the things you spoke about earlier was performative masculinity. And there's a lot of men that confuse that or conflate that with actual masculinity.
Absolutely.
So can you explain what the difference is and like if you can, give an example?
I think a good example is this conversation. Like in any, you know, and there's instances in like, it's a thing I talked to my nephew Justin about. We talk about like intuition. And what I tell him is like, intuition is not a woman's trait. It's a human trait. It's a thing that we develop. And like, we don't often think of Black men as having intuition, but it's like if you walk into any neighborhood and you're like, yo, something feels, bro, that's intuition. That's like your body and spirit telling you like, nah, something don't feel right here.
Right, I'm here with you.
You know, and so when I say that to say, you created a safe space. And I think for a lot of us, performative masculinity means I have to size you up, and B, I have to be prepared to defend my masculinity. And that might either be physically or verbally, right? So I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna lean into the things that I think are desirable, right? I might talk about how much money I got. I might talk about my career. So I don't like when people ask me what I do. It's like my least favorite question in the world. Because it's like, it doesn't allow room for the person to just be a human without all the other cachet and attachments that we link in the labels, bro. Like I'm an influencer or blah, blah, like I don't care about none of that.
Right.
And I think performative masculinity leans into that as a way to highlight how worthy we are, right? As opposed to just being a human. You know what I'm saying? Like I grew up around that. Like we grew up around the dude with the sob and like the big donkey chain and all that. And like so much of that is wanting to appear like we have it all together. And also too, we felt like it was attractive. And it took a while for me to kind of remove myself from that and recognize like, I want to be able to be a safe space for brothers. I want brothers to feel like they're vulnerable. Like you don't gotta be hard all the time. And also too, you get to be you just get to be present.
Right.
So if you're feeling sad today, you get to express that. You also get to unpack the layers of sadness and anxiety and nervousness and being like, yo, I'm scared about this situation. I'm unsure about the situation.
Right.
Performative masculinity doesn't allow us to be free, and it doesn't also allow us to speak our truth.
Right.
You know, when we're like in our truth, then we just get to communicate where we are, what we're feeling, what we need to express without all the other layers of like, I don't want to say misinformation, but all the other layers of just like falsehood that keep us from being connected to each other.
Right. Yeah. Nah, I love, bro. It's one of them ones.
We here, man. We here to talk.
Absolutely. We talking. I don't know if they listening, but I know we talking. That's one thing we doing. We talking for sure, bro. I love what you talked about with intuition, bro. That really hit me because I had to I had to tell my brother one day, and it may not seem like a big situation, like at least to him, but for me, it was huge. We were outside, literally right outside this crib.
Yeah.
And I love scaring people, bro. That's just one of the things.
Guy.
You know, that's just one of the things. That's one of the things I do, bro. It's a weird thing, but I get that from my dad. I would troll. I like trolling people.
Okay.
He's coming around the corner, so I'm hiding behind the corner. You know
You was really trying to scare
I'm really trying to pop up on it and scare him, right? Jump scare him, right?
Yeah.
I'm hiding behind the corner. I see him walking. And then he finally, he's turning the corner. I jump up, right? He kind of gets shocked a little bit.
Yeah.
And he said, yo, you know what's crazy, bro? I said, what? He said, bro, I knew something was off, but I just kept walking. I said, bro. Then I stopped. I wasn't even laughing anymore. I said, bro, never do that, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, never do that again, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you feel something is off, I said, you need to honor that feeling, bro.
That's huge.
That's our intuition.
Yeah, bro.
You get what I'm saying? But oftentimes for us as men, how many times do we do exactly what my brother just did?
Yeah.
My brother did, which is just completely disregarded because there's no physical there.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you said that, it reminded me of that story.
Yeah.
And that's real serious to me because it's like, bro, you could be in a situation where you're in an environment that you've never been in before and your intuition is telling you, yo, something's off.
Yeah.
And if you completely disregard that because you don't see a physical thing there, you're potentially putting yourself at harm and the people that may potentially be with you at harm as well.
Facts.
You get what I'm saying?
And I'm glad you had that. We talk about this at my 9 to 5, pause moments, right? Like you had a pause moment with your brother where it's like, yo, bro, not the other pause that we're familiar with, but this is like,
I know,
you know what I'm saying? It's different, different kind of pause. It's like, yo, bro, I need us to acknowledge what just happened here and why this is important for you. Because to that extent, we'll walk into an environment, to your excellent point, we'll walk into an environment we've never been in before, we're unsure about, and we do it, and I think subconsciously, this is when I think about not performative masculinity, but what's required of the masculine, right? To show up even in spite of what danger might lurk behind us or in front of us, because that's our job. Our jobs are to be protectors. And that doesn't offer much room to also be a person who's navigating spirit, right? Because protection is so much about the physical, the physical attributes as opposed to, okay, what am I embodying as a practice?
Right.
And what allows me to then show up in a space and go, wait, this doesn't feel right. I need to dip. You know what I'm saying? Like that can be the difference between you being alive or not.
Bro.
When you getting in trouble or getting caught up in some shit. And it's like if we're not paying attention to that, because we're not taught to pay attention to that.
Yo, for a fact, actually, we're taught to disregard that.
Absolutely.
For a lot of us as Black men, we think about, I see this a lot on social media, Black, men are logical, women are, feeling based. I see that a lot.
Yeah.
What that does is that I feel like for a lot of us, we equate logic to having to have something physically there.
Yeah.
So we disregard everything.
Bruh. Yeah.
We disconnect and disassociate from ourselves and what we may potentially be feeling if there's not a logical reason behind it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
And oftentimes, if you limit yourself and your experiences to what you can logically reason, you're not allowing yourself to be able to actually grasp the full context of all the things that you may potentially. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely.
And so as a result, when you have your intuition and things are potentially happening because you don't have a logical reason as to why you shouldn't go with it, you decide to just, all right, cool. I'm gonna just disregard it because there's no logic behind why I feel the way I feel.
That's a whole jewel, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yes. and it's like, I think so in Buddhism talk about heart mind, right? And so it's the idea that there is no separation between the mind and the heart. They're connected on a spiritual level, so that we're not moving in, because and that's the thing, there's no such thing as void of emotion.
Right.
Anger is an emotion. Withdrawing and that sadness that might come from that is also an emotion. Some of the, I don't know, man, even in that, my immediate thought went to Jay-Z's song Cry, right? When we think about hustlers and we think about hustler mentality, and it's easy to forget that folks actually have feelings.
Yeah.
And we're not void of, no one is void of feeling. Now, whether you're repressing the feeling is a different conversation.
Yeah,
but that repressing also doesn't allow you to live in the moment. It also doesn't allow you to be free. And it also doesn't keep you safe.
Right.
And like when you repress it, it comes out in other ways. And so like if you're not feeling the thing, if you're not allowing yourself to process healthily like what an emotion is, then it shows up in the anger. It shows up in the like, I used to be that dude. Like I would, you throwing shit, you smashing walls because you want to, again, performative masculinity. I need to prove a point. I need to prove how strong I am, or like my frustration needs to come out this way in order to tap into like what the masculine is supposed to be, as opposed to being able to just have healthy dialogue. Or be like, yo, I can't talk about this right now. Or like, I need a moment. Or like, no, what you did a couple of hours ago really bothered me. And like, do you have time to process? But so much of that is about exactly what you said, bro. It's feeling. It's the feeling element of it. Cause like logic does not mean void of feeling and void of emotion. It's just another way for us to process information. But our emotions guide us way more than we think they do. If you're not aware of it, you're gonna wind up in some fuck shit.
Yeah, for sure, bro. And that's the thing that when people talk, like when men talk about like, oh, logic, logic over feelings, facts over feelings, and all these kinds. I'm like, bro, you don't even realize like how much your feelings impact the decisions that you make on a day-to-day basis, bro.
Always.
All the time, bro. It's not like we're just, like you said, void of feelings and we don't feel it, and because we're saying logic over feelings, like all of a sudden we're just not gonna make any decisions. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, what are you talking? Like, you literally have feelings. You acknowledge your feelings when you feel like you want to.
Absolutely.
And when you don't want to acknowledge your feelings, you use logic as a reason as to not do it.
Bro, that's so crucial, because I think what you're talking to is like, there's like a box of like good feelings that we have as men, especially as black men, and there's like the bad feelings. Like, I don't want to fuck with these. And like the good feelings is like, it's joy. It's like, it's pleasure, right? It's happiness. It's like whatever love might feel like. Anger, I think actually too is a feeling that we enjoy. I think probably the box is probably sadness. Like niggas don't want to feel sad.
Right. Frustrated. Confused. Disgusted.
Anxious.
Betrayed.
Betrayed is a good one. Like,
you know what I'm saying?
Not for nothing. I mean, granted, I'm saying names on camera, but like if I'm thinking about an era, I'm just gonna guess that we probably grew up in and around like the same era. So if I'm thinking of some of the cats that was out in certain neighborhoods getting money, especially in Queens, and like how people respond to other acts of violence or like betrayal. It normally ends in violence. And so like, because I have to, and that's an emotion. Like for folks to think like that's not a logical response. It's an emotional, I feel hurt. I feel dishonored. I feel embarrassed. That's another one. Like, don't embarrass me in front of people, because there's a lot of shame in that. And like, we don't know how to handle shame at all. Like shame is probably like, now that we're talking, I think about how often shame leads us. Like if I don't want to be ashamed of like the sneakers I'm wearing or the clothes I'm got, so I'm gonna do things to fix that. Don't shame me in front of somebody else, because now I gotta fix that too. Like there's all these ways because we're not dealing with,
bruh, shame is real.
Bruh, I feel like there's so much.
Bro, that's great. We make so many decisions based off of shame.
Bruh, street politics are dictated by shame. Like so much of it, like you've embarrassed me, you've made me ashamed of this, that, and the third. Like me not having enough. You have more than and jealousy. Like it's all these things that we don't want to deal with, and so we show up in different way. And a lot of that is the performative masculinity shit, where it's like I gotta harm something.
Bro, I'm like my head is exploding. It's crazy, bro. We literally make so many decisions because of shame. There's this clip that goes around, and I see it every so often, and I think it's a bunch of bullshit. Excuse my language. It's like, it's a clip where it talks about men only want to be respected, or like, and that like women need love, men need respect. And I think that is such bullshit, bro. I don't only want Naima to respect me. I want Naima to love me for who I am.
I love that.
If she respects me and she doesn't love me, we cannot be together, bro.
Nah.
What are we talking about here?
And I think here's the thing too, it's what kind of relationship do you want? You know what I'm saying? And I think folks want to be respected because they don't want to have to tap into the other like reservoirs of like emotion that they're afraid of.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you respect me and you fear me or whatever, then we don't have to play in these other spaces that I'm not well versed in. You know, like for Black men, for so many of us, respect is the penultimate because we haven't been given anything else in the toolbox.
Right.
Given the room to be introspective, to be loving, to be kind, to be warm. So like respect is the only, because that's what our dads gave us, our uncles. Right. Well, that's what media, that's what Hollywood gave us. Right. That's what hip hop gave us. Right. It's like, you got to respect me. You know, that's not what was communicated in a lot of the music that we were hearing and a lot of the environments we grew up. Bro. Like the other end of the spectrum.
And it's what, like, this is what I'm saying though, right? Like, the reason why I say I need Naima to respect and love me is because you can respect me, but if you don't love me fully, you will never be able to like really truly understand who I am and like be able to build and help. You can help, like, because that's what the point of a partner is to be your helpmate. You know, help you through the things that you're going through, to help you to get to the next level. If you don't fully love my being and you aren't invested in that process, then it's gonna be hard for you to play that role. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. And so I think what I was coming to is like, the reason why it's so easy for people to say like all men need is respect is because if we get disrespected, what's the result? What happens? Shame. Right? So I don't want to feel shame. So just give me whatever I need so I don't feel shame.
Absolutely.
Just give me the bare minimum.
Absolutely.
That's what I hear when I hear respect. That's the bare minimum. Of course you should fucking respect.
That is the bare minimum.
But I'm getting annoyed.
Bro,
of course you should respect me.
That is the bare minimum. You're absolutely
right. That's the bare minimum. We're human beings. I should always have respect for you. Until you give me a reason not to respect you. If we're going into relationships with the bare minimum, all we're taking is respect into this relationship.
I think like you're talking about.
Come on, bro.
You're talking about something really important.
Come on.
Because I think when I think about, because what we do is we do a lot of comparative analysis, right? We'll go, well, back in the day, this is what men did. And I'm like, the men had different toolboxes. Like, if Black men had more access to the language of, I'm feeling hurt, I'm feeling down, whatever, I think we'd have a different generation of Black men.
You would.
And we can't, what we'll do, and like, I've seen this happen on both the men's side and the women's side, you know, where it's like, we'll lean into these tropes of, well, men used to do this. Like, men used to be like, nah, that men have been hurting. This is not a new phenomenon. This is that we have language for it now.
Right.
We have access to tools to be able to dissect, to discuss, to talk through things. And like the men back in the day weren't talkers, they were doers. My father wasn't a talker. My father was also a paranoid schizophrenic who fought in the Vietnam War, who suffered from childhood trauma. You feel me?
Right.
It wasn't like he wasn't talking because he didn't have a lot to say. My father was an emotional being who didn't have space. And so it's like, you're brought up in a world, especially, and my father grew up in Pensacola, Florida, like the South.
Yeah.
And so if you grow up in a world where all you're taught is the bare minimum,
right?
Like, you gotta respect me,
right?
You know, and respect me, having a good job, serving your country, even if that country doesn't serve you,
right?
And coming back home and just being a stable anchor to the household,
right?
Go to work, eat your dinner, don't say nothing. Like, that is supposed to be the noble man, because I don't think we've prepared ourselves or society for a world in which Black men get to be well-rounded.
Right.
You know, we're getting there now. But like, this idea of, going back to what you said, bro, like respect being the bare minimum.
Bro.
It's like, we get to ask for more than that. We deserve more than that.
Bro, that's what I'm saying, bro. Yeah. Like, I cannot, every time I see that clip, I literally swipe past that, bro. I cannot watch that. I cannot watch that clip fully and not get upset, bro. Because what do you mean all I need? Don't speak for me, bro. Don't tell these people all I need is respect, bro. I need to be loved, bro.
And
I need to be loved, bro.
And I think too, I think there's a level of line in that, because it's not, no one can operate just off of it.
Yo, come on, bro.
No one can. But I think there's this false narrative of, like, again, when we talk about performative masculinity, it's like, this is all I need.
Yeah.
I just need you to fuck me, shut up, and da-da-da. It's like, bro, actually, no, you don't. Like, there's a part of you that is okay with her playing 2K with you. Like, you can, like, you want to feel joy.
Right.
You don't know how to.
Right.
Now, you can say that, but you can't say that, because then again, it's like the embarrassment and the shame of having to show up in a way that is not in alignment with what we deem to be masculine. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we do a whole lot of other shit to navigate away from that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
What the thing that's one of my biggest stressors is, you go to my IG followers, about like 83 to 85% women.
Of course.
And what I tell folks is like, primarily it's because what I'm doing is not attractive. Like I'm talking about Black men healing, and it's not socioeconomics. It's not about how much money you can generate. It's not about any of those things. It's about love. It's about radical liberation. What does that look like? What does that mean for the community? You know what I'm saying? It's not, and it's not so black and white. It's very nuanced. There's a lot of gray. You know, and I've been spending a lot of time, like I'm talking about Palestine, I'm talking about Sudan, I'm talking about the Congo, talking about the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about places where Blackness exists, where marginalization exists, where, you know, there's despair. And if we're not allowing for bigger, broader conversations that exist outside of what we deem to be attractive to the audience, like the reality of what Black men are facing and dealing with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Outside of just going overseas to look at Palestine, I can look at my own neighborhood.
Right.
I can look at Eric Adams. I can look at my city of New York and ask myself, what is the role of a Black man? How do we get to show up for each other?
Right.
You know? And so much of that is because we're not given enough space and room. We were talking about this before, bro. Like, this is why I enjoy what you're doing. There's not enough of us being able to have impactful conversations that exist outside of like how many girls you got, how fly you look, how much money you get, how many houses you can buy and flip and sell. Like, I don't, like, are you free? Like, that's the conversation I want to have with my brothers. Like, are you free and what do we need to do to get you there?
Bro, you know what's so interesting about when you talk about like the financial conversations that I'm seeing? Like, bro, a lot of these dudes that do a lot of that stuff, bro, like, I've sat down with some of them and I'm like, bro, like y'all are slaves to this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You left one thing, whether it be a 9-to-5 or whatever it was that you were making income with, to then go and still be a slave to another thing. You're still a slave to money. You know what I'm saying? You don't spend time with your family. All you do is work. You don't really talk to your kids like that. You're not there. You're not present with them. You're not present with your shorty or whoever it is. You got a fractured relationship there, but you got a bunch of bread. Do I really want to take advice from them? Nah, come on, let's be real. Do I really want to take advice from this man that could make me a millionaire, but I gotta sacrifice everything to get there?
And that's you see, bro, again, nailing it. Like, cause that's the thing. We're told that that's the sacrifice you have to make.
No, I refuse, bro. I refuse. I tell people that on the platform all the time. I refuse. I am not doing this to sacrifice my family. The moment that starts to happen, hey guys, this is our last episode. Wrap it up. The finale. We're gonna close it. Listen, we're closing it down, baby, because this is coming. No, bro. I refuse, bro. We only have a limited time on. This is the way we have a limited time on this earth. I refuse to make my entire life about getting money.
You can't take it with you. You know what I'm saying? And like, you said something so important. It's the time, how much time we have here,
bro.
You know? Like I got 2 girls, right? So I have an 8-year-old, have a 4-year-old. I talk a lot about them in the book. There's an essay in there specifically called Postpartum Tree Whisperer.
Okay.
So like, you know, I went through, and like for folks who don't know, men can go through postpartum.
Oh, they don't want to hear that. I had a conversation about that. They got mad.
Of course, but because again, it's devoid of emotion. It's like, nah, that's women do that. And it's like, bruh, I had to express to folks, like there's also, I went through that. I was going through high functioning depression. And so high functioning depression exists in ourselves when we're excelling. Like I was excelling. I was getting raises. I'm getting promotions. And also what would normally take me an hour to do, like thinking or brainstorming or coming up with something creative, would take me like 3 hours. Because there was a fog in my brain that just wasn't allowing me to show. I was trying and literally felt like I was walking through, I was like walking through like swampland is what it felt like. And so even with with my second child, Wes, we felt disconnected. Like in a way that I could compare to how I felt connected to my first.
Right.
I could feel the difference.
Right.
And it was also more pressure on me in that way to a certain extent. And so I felt that and I had to process that. But like, I say all that to say, it's like, I don't know how much time I have here.
Right.
You know, and so my job is to be, like even tonight, I'm like, y'all want to do this, and also I want to spend time with my 4, because the 8-year-old is over in Houston with her mom. But I'm like, I want to spend time with my girl. You know what I'm saying? And so part of that is having to navigate that and also be present for it. And so what that also means is I say no to certain things. Because it's me protecting my mental health and my spirit, and also my family. You know what I'm saying? In my community, like how do I need to show up? And like money can't be the thing that dictates how I make decisions,
bro.
Because that'll lead me listen, we see it.
Bro.
We're seeing it. Like we see it in so many Black men who are making decisions and then just destroying their families and themselves in the process.
Bro, I'm telling you, bro, you're speaking on so many things that like I've personally had to come to terms with myself. Like, when we were building this platform, I remember there was a moment where another platform that's way bigger reached out like, hey, we would love you. Come on, you know, we'll give you certain number of dollars for you to pull up and you can come and do a recording with us. I know if I did a recording with them, I get tapped in with them. It potentially leads to something else. The clips will potentially go viral. It's a well-known platform, right? It falls on the day of Naima's birthday. We doing long distance, by the way. So birthdays are important because that's huge. You know what I'm saying? We don't get a lot of time together.
Yeah.
And we go all out for birthdays. We actually compete on birthdays.
Oh, that's beautiful.
You know what I'm saying? So her birthday, I'm trying. Her birthday's before mine. I'm trying to set the ball, right? Trying to do something crazy. So when she come to my birthday, like you gotta really go crazy.
The ball's
you know
high.
what I'm saying? Right? So I'm thinking about all this. I'm like, damn, bro. Like if I go and do this thing, it'll be great for me personally.
Yeah.
Potentially will lead to like benefits for us in the long run. But I'm gonna miss out on spending time with night. Like. And I know some people will be like, bro, it's just one birthday. You don't know. You know what I'm saying? You don't really know you don't know. And so for me, I was like, nah, bro, I'm good. You know, we could do it another time. Let me know if y'all got any time. They've never reached back out. But I knew that was a potential.
Yeah.
And I was comfortable with that because I'm like, yo, I've built this thing with the mindset that I'm not gonna sacrifice moments that are important to me in order for me to get financial gain or social gain or whatever the case may be. So if I'm gonna miss out on opportunities with platforms because they're not, you know, willing to reschedule stuff around my schedule, then that just shows me that's probably not the platform I'm supposed to be messing with anyway. You get what I'm saying? Because it lets me know how they operate.
Yeah, bro.
Because I know if you pulled up, even if you was like, yo, bro, Kizzle, got my kid today. It's really not a good. I know we scheduled this thing. It's really not a good. I'd be, bro. Cool. What's the word? I got some more time this week. We could potentially slide you in Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever the case may be. Let me know. I wouldn't even, bro. You would have got that text quick, bro. I'd be like, bro, none of your business, bro.
I believe that, and like it's funny you say that because like in my head, I was thinking about again like us introducing ourselves at your doorstep. You feel me? It's the idea that. And energy is currency. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying it's not for you because I know you get it, but the idea that like not currency in the financial sense of it, like a transactional, but it has value.
Right. For sure.
And so I'm at a point now in my career where I do say no to stuff. And like you're there too. It's like I used to have to say yes.
Yeah.
Like
for sure.
early Joél at like 25, 28. Would have probably been like, nah, kid got to stay home or whatever. I would have figured out, or like, yo, I would have missed the birthday because I would have been like, yo, I gotta eat, I gotta say yes to this thing because I'm building. And to a certain extent, I can understand that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think there's a level of, and it's I talk about discernment a lot for us.
Yeah.
Because not every opportunity is the same.
Right.
And so what you did, which I appreciate and I value, is you said, okay, this is the situation. I can recognize that there's some pros here.
Yeah.
But like to what extent? Like, to what extent is this worth the risk?
Right.
Of like disappointing this person who's been supportive of me, who loves me, who shows up for me.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
right.
Bro.
Like, and that's like that kind of consideration. I think we're losing sight of to a certain extent.
We are.
Because ideally, same thing, bro. Like rescheduling for me is nothing. It would have been like, all right, cool. Wednesday, all right, let's just figure it out another time.
Right.
Because I value time.
Right.
And I know if something's coming up, I have to trust because I assume good intent with people.
Right.
Which I think is what like performative masculinity doesn't allow us to do. Like someone bumps you, you automatically assume like somebody did it on purpose.
Ill intent.
As opposed to like, nah, something came up. Or like you tripped or anything else, which granted puts us at a disadvantage to be fair.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing that, then you're not protecting yourself. But I don't want to live this life where I have to protect myself at all times.
And then here's the thing too, right? I want to correct that because it doesn't mean that you're not protecting yourself.
Fair, absolutely.
You can still have the thought process like, yo, bro, if something, if I get proven wrong, I can still fall back on protecting myself. It just means that you're not allowing something to escalate into something that is not. I just had a conversation with a therapist where she was talking about there's people that make all these assumptions all the time, bro.
All the time.
And you don't go, and she said what she says to her clients is, what are the facts though? You get what I'm saying? So like ask the questions or like understand what the actual facts are, because we're running off of assumptions. If I bump you, you don't know what the facts are. Yeah. You don't know if I tripped into you. You don't know if I slipped. You don't know if I didn't see you. If you're assuming that I did it because I just wanted to bump into you, that could be the incorrect assumption. Yeah. But how often is that the assumption that then becomes the fact that that person bases their reaction off of?
Yeah, it's a trauma response, bro. It's like and even to that point, like what I say often is my favorite people are the most curious people, right? Which is why, I mean, like your podcast is successful for a reason, right? Like I think people who lean into and like success for what it means as a metric for you, right? Right. You defined it for yourself. Yeah. And it's like there's this thing where people have to care enough to ask the question, right? You know what I'm saying? And like, or ask the question of ourselves. And like, even you, again, in alignment with like discernment, being able to go, okay, well, is this opportunity worth it? Is it worth this? Right. And like diving into that, that's curiosity. That's the curiosity that I'm asking for all of us to have with each other. Right. Because when I assume good intent, I'm also gonna ask questions to confirm whether or not what I'm thinking and feeling and believing is true. Right. To the therapist's point. Right. Like, is it accurate? Right. The only way I get there is if I ask questions. Right. But like we're also taught not to ask questions. So much of that is like how we were brought up in the church, or depending on where you grew up, like your parents. You don't ask questions. You just assume because this is what you're told or this is what you're being shown. But everyone has different backgrounds. Everyone has different ways of learning, ways of being, ways of expressing. And so I have to take that into account. If I can do that, then that also allows me to build community, create more safe spaces for each other. You know?
I like that, bro. I like that a lot, bro. Like, I feel like, man, I think growing up for me, I was able to at least have a space where I didn't although like I got a lot of instruction from my parents. Like my dad is Ghanaian, my mom is Trinidadian, so there's only so much.
I got you. Say less. Say less. Say less.
Yeah. You get it.
You gotta be doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
This is it. Yeah.
This is what's happening. Yeah. But although there was that, there was also a space that was curated where, like, at any point in time, if I really had something on my chest, I could pull up and be like, yo, let's have a family meeting. Like, I could call a family meeting as a child.
That's amazing.
So it gave me a space where it's like, I don't feel like super uncomfortable expressing myself, because my parents will listen to what I have to say. If I really need to get something off my chest, like this is bothering me, I can call a family meeting. I know they will listen to everything I have to say, and they will respond with the intention of helping me to process what it is that I'm dealing with, or helping me to understand what their perspective is.
That's beautiful.
You get what I'm saying? And so like, I feel like if we create more spaces like that inside of our homes, because this is where we emulate or practice or like simulate what's going on outside.
Absolutely.
It'll allow a lot of us to like start to ask those questions and start to be more curious, like you said, but then also dig deeper into ourselves and what it is that we're actually feeling, so that we're able to process that, bro. Because a lot of times, like, not asking the question, what it ends up doing is it creates a situation where we feel like we have to internalize what we're feeling. Because if I can't ask you the question, or if I can't talk about it, the only other rational thing to do is just internalize.
Yeah, literally. And like then we make up our own stories about it. Right. You know, and without confirming or validating whether or not that experience is accurate. You know? This is why, like, you know, I so dislike that language of you know, you should just know. Especially when we talk about this in partnership and relationships. It's like, you should just know. It's like, no, like, just because this happened 4 days in a row, or this has been like, there's a certain level of knowingness, yes, absolutely, that allows us to make certain kinds of decisions. But to assume that because what I say is every context is almost always different. Right. Like the breath I'm taking right now is different than the breath I'm gonna take 2 minutes from now. And if I'm not holding space for that change, for that nuance, it doesn't allow people to expand. It also doesn't allow us to be present for situations. Like, I can assume there's gonna be a way that my daughter's gonna respond to certain things. And 8 out of 10 times, I'm almost always right. Right. But those 0.2 times I'm not right are also really important. Right. Because I can easily invalidate her experience by assuming that there's gonna be a response or a reaction to a thing. You know, or assuming that this is what they need in this moment. This is why I ask. I ask questions. Me asking is not me being deficient. It's me caring enough to unassume what is happening in this moment. You know, what's needed in this moment. Because what you needed on Tuesday may not be what you need on Thursday.
Nah, I love that, bro. I love that, especially in the context of like building your family, because oftentimes like we get taught about, we get taught, like, you gotta be the leader of your family.
Oh yeah,
Leader of the household.
Yeah.
You gotta know what you're doing. Man. You're supposed to be the one that's guiding your family everywhere. But it's like, bro, if you're not listening and asking the questions, where are you guiding people, bro?
Where are you guiding people? You're the most effective leaders ask the most questions.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
It's like you, and then also too, you have, as a leader, you put people in place and positions to succeed.
Bro.
And in order to do that, you are like, I don't know everything.
Bro.
So my job is to put people in positions who know more than me in this specific area. Like, there's certain things I'm just like, I'm incredibly confident that no one is going to outsmart me in this way.
Right.
But there's still gonna be someone smarter than me, but I'm also gonna put people who are like, oh, you're more knowledgeable about X, B, or C, or like my kids are sponges. And so I might know more than them through the lens in the sense of like knowledge. I've acquired more knowledge and information rather.
Right.
But when it comes to understanding the presence of the world, my children are more knowledgeable than I could ever be, because there's a level of imagination that they bring to the space.
Right.
There's a level of curiosity that they bring that I still need to tap into. Like they're teaching me. It doesn't mean I'm not leading, but I ask them questions because I love them enough to be led by them as well.
Right.
And I trust myself enough to know that like, I'm not going to be moving astray from like the path or the goal, but more information allows me to make better decisions. The only way I get more information is by asking more questions.
Nah, absolutely, bro. We talked a lot about masculinity and like how, performative masculinity looks versus what masculinity actually is.
Yeah.
I want you to tap into like how you were able to start to make these shifts in your perspective or your understanding of masculinity, because you grew up in an area where like I don't think there was much room for that.
Nah, bro, nah.
So like how? Because there's some Black men right now that are probably in the same situations that you were in, that are trying to rationalize how they get out of that performative masculinity box.
Yeah. I mean, and thank you for that question, bro. I mean, like I grew up in the Reagan era, man. Like we're talking like the proliferation of crack, and having an older brother who served time up top for 10 years on some Rockefeller stuff, and having to like navigate the world in that way. A few things happened. I had a devastating breakup. Like the person who I was engaged to at the time, we were together for about 6 years. From the ages of like 24 to 30. And I cheated twice. And the second time I cheated, before she took the ring off, is like, you have to go to therapy. Like that's the stipulation for us to like stay together and work this out. And I went to therapy and I was like, oh shit, who knew? Like I had known that I had known that I needed room for something, like room to process, but I didn't necessarily know what that was or how. And I knew I felt like I needed therapy, but there was the shame, right? The fear of having to verbally acknowledge that's the thing. Like I needed help because Black men don't need help, right? But therapy, there's a few things. Like therapy was really revealing for me, because what it did is it showed me for the first time that I needed space just to process and talk without judgment or bias. Like it wasn't like me sharing to someone being like, well, I don't know if that's true, or it was someone validating my experience and then helping me understand what that experience meant in the context of me growing up in the environments I grew up in. You know what I'm saying? So she was able to help center a lot of the things that I was processing and not judge that experience, which is what I realized I needed. And on top of that, honestly, Buddhism, bro, Buddhism played a really big role. Like, for brothers listening, when you hear like language around like mindfulness, a gratitude practice, any of those things, a lot of those things come back to like health and wellness, like a yoga practice, but that all comes from Buddhism. You know what I'm saying? And having that language allowed me to really tap into, I think, the nuance of my existence, to really tap into mindfulness and presence. I used to do this thing where, cause like my ex-partner, well, she's like, she's like, you don't pay attention. You're not aware. You're not aware enough. After we broke up, what I started doing was I would just every day I would pick like a different color to focus on. Okay. So I would spend like a good like an hour just like walking around different neighborhoods in New York, and I'm like, okay, this Monday is just yellow. So it's like yellow cars, yellow like awning signs, all this other shit. And part of that was just deepening my awareness, like in my presence, like, because it forced me to get really granular about paying attention.
Right.
And when I started doing that in conjunction with like the therapy and the reading, like Gary Zukav's Seed of the Soul, Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now and New Earth. There's actually this really great book. It's a little dated, but had a lot of gems in there. Ayanna Van Zant's Spirit of a Man. She wrote it for Black men specifically. She wrote it in the 90s. So like, if brothers decide to pick it up, some of the language is a little like, okay, she's talking like a Black woman from the 90s would talk. So like, if you put that to the side, there's just a lot of fruit in there. And it really talks about spirit a lot. She's talking a lot about spirit and like the ancestral language of our people. And so that felt really connected to me. And it was also a softness that she kept speaking to. And that allowed me to tap in more. Cause like I've always been sensitive. I'm an artist. You know what I'm saying? Like sensitive about my shit. I create. And a lot of that's me tapping into my emotional state. But I don't think I wasn't honest. You know what I'm saying? I might have been emotional, but I wasn't honest. I was really dishonest about what I needed, what I wanted my partner to give to me. I didn't feel safe enough to share those things. I also don't think I was in enough safe spaces where I felt compelled enough to share. But the reading helped me unpack a lot of that. I'd spend a lot of time alone. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want brothers to go out and have babies, but having kids also helped a lot with that, because it gave me a level of grounding that I needed. It recentered me in a lot of ways. And I knew whether I had girls or boys, and like, I think this is important, because I think sometimes we think we need to be softer with our girls and our boys. I'm like, no, our boys need softness. You know what I'm saying? Like, and what we tend to do is we predispose that the world is harsh, so we need to harden our boys. I'm like, no, we need to soften the world. Like my practice is not about blaming the people, it's about blaming the system. So I can't keep focusing on the people. I need to focus on dismantling the system that creates the society that forces boys to not be soft, to not be vulnerable, to not be loving. Then like, and having to reinforce this idea that softness is love. Softness is also masculine. You know what I'm saying? And like, if we're talking about the divine masculine, the divine feminine, we carry both of those. And like, we tap into those in different instances in time. And so therapy gave me a construct to work with. And then the books gave me the knowledge. And then being in relationship, like with my homies, with lovers, with friends, with partners, and putting that in practice, because ideas are only ideas until they become theory. And theory is only created when we put it in practice. And so what I've had to do is just put things in practice. And I've failed a lot in that. I've hurt people in that regard. Like I cheated, you know what I'm saying? Like I've done things that I'm not proud of. Like I haven't like physically harmed anyone. But like I've definitely been a person who's manipulated situations for the benefit of me when I was younger. For sure. Having to be accountable and people holding me accountable and recognizing, oh, I've caused harm. I want to be better. You know, like, and had to be better for myself first. Wanting to be better for my partner wasn't the fix. It was like me needing to do it for me. You know?
Man, a lot of bars.
Yeah,
bro. A lot of bars in there, bro. I want to start with the ideas one, bro, because you said ideas are only ideas until you put them into theory, and then you put that theory into practice.
I got that from Neil deGrasse Tyson, man. It's the science of it. It's literally like it's not a theory. A theory has to be practiced. You have to test it. And we do so much like we do so much ideation, like we're talking amongst ourselves and like, but no, you gotta actually implement the thing you learned in therapy.
I hate ideation now. I'm not even gonna lie to you, bro. It's important. But the reason why I say it like that, I'm exaggerating, bro. But at the same time, I want it to be known, like, you can ideate as much as you want. If you don't execute, bro, it means nothing. I was just talking to my team about this. Somebody came to us with a great idea, and in my video was like, oh, that's a great idea. I hope y'all do it. I said, listen, a great idea is a great idea. It really does not matter. It can be the best idea in the world. If we do not execute on it, it will stay an idea forever, bro.
Absolutely.
It will literally stay just a great idea and not a great thing.
Bruh.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm not in the business of creating great ideas anymore. You know what I'm saying? I want to create great things.
I love that.
The only way you create great things is by executing. I think we get it's sexy to make a great idea.
Absolutely.
It's easy. I can give you 10 great ideas right now in 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God.
Literally.
We should make a black coffee business, and we should only sell to black people. And make black coffee merch, and then it'll go viral. And it's a great idea.
It's a great idea.
But it's not a great thing until you execute it.
You got to do it.
You get what I'm saying? And the execution is the part that a lot of us get caught up in.
Absolutely, because the fear.
Yeah.
You know, the fear or waiting, like waiting for the right time to execute. And so much of my career, bro, has just been, you know, throwing shit at the wall. Like, not for nothing. Like, I know, again, we talk about metrics of success. Like, I'm not the richest brother in the world. I'm not trying to be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there are brothers who have way more followers than I, you know, but when I look at my family, when I look at the space I've created for us, the fact that I can take care of people, that people deem me to be a safe space.
Yeah.
The fact that I'm a major published author. You know what I'm saying? Like, the money, like, publishing a book wasn't about the money for me, because if it was, I would have self-published.
Right.
And no knock on brothers and sisters who do that. I respect it.
Right.
I respect the process.
Right.
For me, like, my favorite writer of all time is Toni Morrison. And so the practice for me was emulating, not step by step, but I got to a point where I was like, yo, what is Tony's trajectory as far as her career is concerned? And wanting to emulate that to a certain extent. So like, The Bluest Eye was published when Tony, I think, was like 37, 38. And so having my major publishing debut happen, I mean, I signed my deal at 37, 38. You know, The Bluest Eye was originally published by Holt Macmillan before Random House bought the rights to the book. My book was also published by Holt Macmillan. And like, that's not a thing I planned. Like, it really was like divine, to be honest and be fair.
Right.
But I say all that to say, like, so much of my career, my life has just been doing the thing, like throwing it to the wall, hoping it sticks. And if it doesn't, I'm just gonna do another thing.
Yeah.
You know, like Elizabeth Gilbert in her book, Big Magic, what she talked about is like idea clouds. Because the other thing is too, to your point of ideation and like, we have to execute. If you sit on the idea, somebody else is gonna do it. You know, because we think people steal ideas. And like, half the time there's nothing new under the sun.
Right.
Like, if you thought it, somebody else 10,000 miles away from you has probably thought it too.
Yep.
They just decided to do it.
Yeah.
You know, you were waiting for the right time, for the right partner, for the right budget. And it's like, what do you have access to, and how do you make that thing happen? If you want to do it.
Bro, you have everything. I always tell people this when it comes to like doing things, because I think oftentimes people get caught up in like, I need this thing or that thing. You got everything you need already, right?
Literally.
Everything you need. You don't need no more money.
Yeah.
You don't need any more resources. You don't need new equipment.
Yeah.
You don't need to go buy the domain and wait on the domain to get purchased. You don't need to wait on the website to be built. You don't need to wait on having social media content.
Yeah.
You have everything you need. And I'm saying this as a person that literally started this podcast with one mic and a laptop.
Nas with it.
You get what I'm saying?
Bro, yes.
One mic and a laptop. I didn't know how we were going to distribute the podcast. I didn't have a description. I didn't have the website set up. I didn't have the merch. I barely had the damn logo. You know what I'm saying? I don't even think I had the logo. Like, for real, bro. And we started the podcast and we just kept iterating. This is what people don't understand about building something, bro. We get caught up, bro. And I'm gonna teach, like, I really wanna, cause I went to school for computer science. And in computer science, they teach you critical thinking, computational thinking. One of the first courses that I took was computational thinking. They teach you how to take a big, complex problem, break it down into smaller, more solvable problems. Computer science is one of the things that gave me the foundation for how to build things. Right?
I hear that.
Because it teaches you how to think about building something. Right? We have it so backwards. We think you gotta think the whole thing through and then build the whole thing and it should be perfect as soon as you build it. No, you build it ugly.
Bro,
ship it ugly.
I love that. Bro,
and then you iterate on top of the ugly thing to make that ugly thing beautiful.
That's a pull quote right there, man. You build it ugly. That's some like Nike shit.
No, I'm telling you though, bro.
For real, that's some powerful, because
you really do though.
But the wild thing is, like, whiteness has created a system in which we think perfection is the ideal. Perfection doesn't exist. Even, and to your point, like, whether it's a Phil Knight, anyone that we deem to be excellent in that way, it's different. You're seeing this because you're seeing that final product. Like, your eyes are seeing it. Does not mean 200,000 other motherfuckers hadn't seen it already before you did. You know, like, you're seeing the version that's just hit the market or hit the mainstream or whatever. But folks are refining, retooling, they're placing, like, it's.
And then even when you see that final product though, bro, like, people are still making changes on top of that. Like, when I think about software especially,
bro, oh goodness. Absolutely.
Bro, look at how many updates do we get on iOS?
It's never done.
17.6,
Bruh,
17.7,
it's never done.
17.8, 17.9. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because there's always either a bug,
Yep.
an issue, security flaw,
Yeah.
there's a new feature,
Yeah.
there's a new thing that's coming out because they're continuously iterating on top of the thing that's already ugly.
All right, I'm interrupting this podcast episode to let you guys know to leave a review on the podcast. Please, 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 if you are listening to this episode and you're finding value in this episode, you're enjoying the conversation, or you've enjoyed a previous episode or conversation, and it's safe to operate your phone right now, please leave us a review. Your review is a free and easy way to support us, and it helps us reach more people like you. We're on a mission to build a stronger, more connected Black community, starting with Black men. And you can help us on that mission by taking a minute out of your day to leave a review. Your review helps us generate more listeners, which in turn generates more revenue, allowing us to expand the platform even further. So please take a few seconds out of your day. I know you're busy. I understand. I know you're doing a lot, but it will help us greatly if you would just take a few seconds out of your day to leave a review right now. Did you leave a review yet? All right, let's get back to the episode.
Yeah.
You think it's perfect and it's beautiful,
Yeah.
but that's because you don't build it. You don't see what's going on in the back end. People that see the product that we put out on Instagram, there's certain things that I see on Instagram, I'm like, oh my God, we shouldn't have put that out. Bro. Like, that is actually messed up. The title's messed up, the thumbnail's messed up, the caption's potentially messed up. We may have posted it at the wrong time. You know what I'm saying? Like, with the angle was probably messed up, the color grading was probably a little bit off.
Right.
The clip was a little blurry, but guess what? We put it out anyway. And then we iterate on top of that.
That's the thing, not everybody else sees that. Because like we assume that everyone is moving within the same framework that we are. And they're not. They're not seeing it from the same. And honestly, man, I gotta come back to this build it ugly thing, man, because that is so profound. And I hate to be the nigga that be like, yo, put that on the shirt. You know what I'm saying? Most of my culture people are like, yo, put that on the shirt, brother. I'm like, nah, I don't actually. I don't want to put that on a coffee mug. Like, why would I do that? But like, build it up, because what I think about is we get to build community ugly. Like we think like community has to be perfect. Like if I'm thinking about even the political conversations we're having now, where you have leftists who are saying one thing, you have folks who are like super pro Kamala. You have some folks who probably listen to this who might be voting for Trump. I hope not, but like let's say that's the case. And it's like this notion that community has to be perfect. We're all gonna be in unison. There's not gonna be tension. But bruh, build it ugly is a mantra. Like I would read that book. I'm just putting that out there for you. But like, because there's a way that she's built the podcast, there's a way also too, like there's a way that we think things have to be in order to make them so in the world. But so much of what we look at and what we engage with is ugly anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like the political system, there's beauty in all these things, but it's not perfect. You know what I'm saying? The building could be built better. The bodega could, there's so many instances of community and things that we engage with that are not perfect, but we engage with them anyway.
You know what's so interesting, bro? This podcast is a prime example of that, bro. Like I said, from jump, we started with one mic, like a school mic.
That's
like
wild.
I'm telling you, bro.
That's
I'm
wild.
telling you, a school mic in Audacity. I was on Audacity just editing up the audio, bro. I did not know how to edit audio. This is what I'm trying to tell people. Like, you don't need you don't gotta spend 100 hours trying to figure out how to edit audio and video, bro. Just start building and things will align. Bro, and I'm telling you, like, what ended up happening was small increments of progress. We went from audio to eventually like, okay, how do we get video? Okay, we got video going through Zoom. I literally record Zoom sessions and clip that up and put it up. Then from Zoom, I'm like, yo, we want to do in-person stuff. So we did an in-person thing in Atlanta. My boy had some camera equipment. We said, let's just make it happen. Did it in Atlanta. Now I'm like, yo, we got to keep this going. The clips did a little bit too good. Like, let's figure out how we can make this happen in New York. Found a studio in New York. We start doing stuff in the studio. Now I'm like, yo, bro, I don't want to commute an hour to record a podcast. I hate that. Let me figure out how to get my own equipment. Got my own equipment, bro. I didn't know what I was doing. The lens was all messed up, bro. It was mad dark. It was blurred. No, I'm telling you, bro. The clips was dark as hell.
Nothing.
You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, I said, we still got to put it out. I had 10 episodes with the wrong settings, bro.
That's wild.
From Atlanta, bro. 10 episodes. Most people would have been like, yo, bro, I'm done. I'm going right back to the studio. I said, F that. I'm going to learn this, bro. I'm gonna learn this. Now I'm confident in saying, like, bro, I feel like our content now looks better than when we was in the studio.
That's
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but we
I get
don't
that.
get there if I'm just like, yo,
Yeah.
bro, I gotta make it perfect.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even have recorded an episode by
Yeah.
now, bro.
Yeah.
I would have not have recorded one episode if I tried to figure out how to use the camera and the lenses, everything the right way.
Absolutely.
I had to build it ugly,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
At every step, I've been literally everything that I tell people to do on a podcast, for the most part, I've already done. You know what I'm saying? So I'm always giving people advice from a place where I've taken that advice already.
Yeah.
So like when I'm saying build it ugly, it's because, bro, literally the platform that you're listening to or watching or seeing or want to emulate, that's what we've done.
Yeah.
And that's what other platforms do. You look at any big brand, they're doing that.
Yeah. And there's like we don't acknowledge growth enough. I think we do, but if we, even to your point, you can look back at the older clips of the show and listen to them, and also listen to like the growth that's happened. And there's something to be said for allowing people to grow with you as well.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like, I think also too, what I'm hearing and you sharing that is, again, this idea of community. Like I'm thinking about Atlanta, you were able to tap into some folks who were like, yo, I'm down for this. And so much of that is not about, it's a thing that's not about respect, that's about love. Because folks are gonna do certain things out of respect for you, but they're not gonna go the extra mile. Love is what's gonna do that. Love is gonna get folks over the hump. The respect might get you into the door, but the love is gonna keep you in the room. You know what I'm saying? And so like what I'm hearing in that is like also too, and then you built a team. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and so much of that is about, about that is like community and folks trusting the process. And again, building it ugly, man. That's the quote of the year.
You like it? You like, listen, bro, I might have to do something with that for real. But nah, bro, listen, I want to talk about self-care a little bit. I want to pivot, bro. But I feel like self-care is an area where we don't really know what it is. Like we listen, we know what it is, but we don't know it in the sense of what it means to us. Like what is self-care to a black man? So I wanted to tap into like, what are some of the things that you do to practice self-care in your life, and how has that been instrumental in your healing journey?
I mean, like even this, I think this is self-care. I think community, I think conversation with like-minded brothers who challenge you, who help you grow, I think is self-care. I can't remember if I don't think I talk about this in the book, but a part of it was me having to tap into my inner child. You know, I grew up loving comic books. Like I was a nerd, you know what I'm saying? Like the nerd kid who also grew up on like MOP and like some real like East Coast hip hop shit. And I want to say maybe like towards the end of 2022, for whatever reason, I was just like, yo, I feel like not like something was missing, but I could tell like, I was like, there's something more. There's something more. And I was like, yo, I haven't read comic books in a while. So I downloaded Marvel on my phone. So like when I'm on flights, I'm reading Daredevil. I'm catching up on like old school MCU stuff. I'm following, like I was on a flight to the Bahamas a couple of weeks ago and I was reading Venom. It's like catching up on Venom from like 2014 to like 2019 or whatever. And for me, that's self-care. It's like giving myself the opportunity to feel free, to enjoy myself. Like my brother D, for him, self-care is like smoking a cigar on his back patio. You know what I'm saying? And like, you know, and playing some hip hop. You know, maybe that's for another brother that might be playing spades or dominoes. Might be spending time with your kids. You know, it might be getting on the court. You know what I'm saying? Playing 3-on-3 or whatever. Like I think for me, self-care is really also too about finding joy in the things we get to do. You know, you said it earlier, man, life is short, man. So like, I just want to do things that bring me happiness. And if it's not an excited yes, then I say no to it. I should feel excited about the things that I'm doing. It's like, I deserve that. So like, if it's buying comic books, if it's fucking playing video games on my phone, you know what I'm saying? If it's cuddling with my girl, it's taking a trip, like all these things really are about self-care. If it's about, honestly, like my after shower routine, you're like taking care of myself. Also like, not just physically, because I think so much of that for us is like hit the gym, which we should, because we need to take care of our physical health. But I think we forget about our mental and spiritual health and health in that way, and wealth. Too, right?
Absolutely. You said the right word.
You know what I mean?
Because
it's wealth. You know what I mean? And like for some folks, that might be going to church. It might be going to the mosque. It might be going to the synagogue. It might just be congregating. Or like what I told folks, especially for black men, like if you don't build it ugly, if you don't see it, build it. Like if there's like a thing that you're looking for that you feel like you need, then you do that. You know, like I started this monthly series in Bed-Stuy called Let's Get Free.
Okay.
It's at I do it at the end of each month. The last Friday of each month at Milk and Pole. It's like right across the street from me. And it's just me sitting down with Black and brown creators talking about art, liberation, community. You know, last time, like a couple of Fridays ago, it was my dear friend Ashley Simple and I, and we were talking about the upcoming election. And then folks are also sharing practices, tools, resources. And then afterwards, we hit this this Black-owned spot, Dick and Jane's. It's not too far from us. It's a cocktail bar. We drink, we eat, we laugh, we joke. You know, sometimes at the crib, we do Black movie night. So we invite the homies over, and we just like, a couple of months ago, we watched House Party. You know, it's creating environments that allow me to feel joyous.
Yeah.
It's a big part of my self-care routine.
Man, I love that. And I love how you're comfortable with talking about like reading comic books, playing games, because I feel like there's a lot of like conversation on social media about like, oh, like real men don't play games, or like I don't want to be with no man that play games. And I'm like, bro, why is it that everything that we do, that we feel, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, bro, we don't say nothing. We want to watch your Love and Hip Hop. You know, like we let you have it. Like, yo, y'all get to have y'all. Let us have our thing, bro.
I think, and I'll say this. I think I can recognize where some of that frustration might come with, like, you're not paying attention to the other things that I'm asking.
Right. Okay.
But that's
I understand.
That's a different conversation than a brother, like spending a couple of hours playing 2K with the homies or Halo, who's also taking care of business in so many other areas. Like,
right.
Comics is my opportunity to decompress. And I also make sure, to your point, I give my lady her time to do that as well.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like playing with my kids, you know, like being present in that way is also important, you know? But it's bro, like comics just allowed me to tap into the freedom I felt as a child.
Yeah.
And I think so many of us as black men are missing that. And so many of the things that we tend to have to do then become about production. It's like, if I'm doing this thing and it's not making me money, then I don't need to be involved in it. Or if it's not making me look better physically. And it's like, nah, fuck that. I want to be happy.
Bro.
And my happiness sometimes is me taking a nap, it's me reading a comic, it's me, you know, whatever that might be.
Bro, I love the, oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love that, bro.
Yeah.
Because for me, and I love how like when I explain my self-care, you'll see like how different ours are. Like I have, I was just talking to my mans about this, because he's going through some stuff, and I was telling him, bro, like, when do you take time for yourself? He was talking to me about your son and your girl, like, and I understand that, bro, but it's like, bro, when are you doing stuff for you? You know what I'm saying? Like, when are you, like, bro?
Yeah.
He literally, bro, I landed today, I hit him up,
and
I'm like, yo, bro, can you come pick me up from the airport? He said, bro, I work, but I'm free between 10 and 1. I said, oh, perfect, I land at 10.
Yeah.
He made the time, came and picked me up.
Yeah.
I said to him after he dropped me off, I said, bro, the same way you dropped everything to come pick me up from 10 to 1, you gotta learn to do that for yourself, bro.
It's a word.
I said, you have to learn to do that for yourself, bro. Because you are you ever have a bro that's like, this is a good guy, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
He's a good guy. Bro, I know if I hit this man up for anything, he would do it, bro.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And I know other people know that of him.
Yeah.
And when you're a man that's like that people know they can rely on, they will rely on you.
Absolutely.
You get what I'm saying? So you have to make space for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what I was telling him. Like for me, what my practice is I know on Fridays, I'm watching a movie and I'm eating probably some Chinese food. I grew up in New York.
Bro,
so
that's my shit.
I gotta get some Chinese food, bro. I gotta get some Chinese food. I don't care where I'm at, bro.
I don't care.
I'm getting some Chinese food. I don't care, bro.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get some Chinese food. I'll get some Caribbean food too. I'll mix it up, but I'm gonna get some Chinese food.
Bro.
I'm gonna watch a movie, bro.
Yeah.
I decompress.
Yeah.
In between work days, when I'm having a stressful day, I'm like, yo, bro, you know what? Let me turn COD on, bro.
Yeah.
Let me play some Call of Duty.
Yeah, bro.
Let me kill some of these little kids real quick.
Talk shit to me the entire time. Yeah.
They play a little Call of Duty for like 30 minutes in between work meetings, bro.
I love that.
That's important for me to have that decompression time, so I'm not always thinking about work and how do I produce, how do I make as much money as I need to take care of the family. Bro, that becomes a prison.
Yeah.
You're mentally imprisoned.
Yeah.
Where you feel like you always have to be productive.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy because sometimes I'll be playing games and I'm like, damn, bro, you gotta go do some work right now. I'm like, nah, bro, just chill. Like, you was working for the whole time before you turned this. Bro, relax. You only been on this thing for like 30 minutes.
Listen.
Relax. You're not a machine.
You're not a machine. Man, we're taught that, man, listen, your friend is so lucky, man. He's so lucky to have you, bro.
I appreciate that,
because
bro.
there's a level of presence required in order for us to be able to see that and another brother be able to call that out. You feel me? Like, yo, the way you moving is like, I need you to be healthy. What I've been telling creators, this might sound crazy, I feel like, to some brothers who might be listening, but yo, if you gotta block out your calendar and like for like 2 hours, just mark it as joy. Like Google Calendar is my favorite because even I just get to block out time, and that time could be for me to focus, it could be for me to write, it could be for me to nap, it might be to watch porn. I don't give a fuck. It's like
it's your time,
bro. This is my block of time.
This is your time, bro,
to go do a thing. And so when I think it's funny because when you mentioned the Chinese food, I was watching Get on the Bus. I was and I broke it, like I didn't finish the film yet. I finished the film last night, but I started it like 2 days prior to.
Yeah.
And yo, bro, it was I ordered some food. You know what I'm saying? Went in my office. You know what I'm saying? The kiddo was asleep and I was just chilling. And it's like I've been fortunate enough that people haven't really been asking me for the most part, like, yo, what's next? And I don't mind that question. But it's like, because you write a book and then it's the idea of production, machine. Okay, so what's the next thing? What are you doing? I'm like, chilling.
Right.
The best part about this has been coming off tour, finishing my work day, because I wrote the book while I was still working my 9 to 5.
Right.
And finishing a work day and just chilling.
Right.
And not having to think about what's the next, because I come from that of like, yo, what's the next thing? Like I'm a Capricorn, bro. So like all I know is work.
I'm a Capricorn as well.
Bro, so you get it.
I get it.
Bro, so it's like we have to program, like rather deprogram ourselves to like make room for joy and relaxation and peace.
Right.
And sometimes my work is my peace, to be fair.
Yeah.
You know,
that
and
happens.
but then also too, it's like, yo, I just need time. I just need time for myself that has nothing to do with producing or doing or being anything other than myself for myself.
Yeah. And you know what I add to that too? Because I've been on both sides of what I'm about to say. I've had a partner where when I find time for my joy, they're always finding time to take that away. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, I want to play Fortnite or whatever for a couple of hours just to chill.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you always on that game? I'm like, bro, I just got it.
I just turned it on.
I just turned this shit on. And that experience in itself, bro, it's one of the worst experiences a man can have. When he's literally trying to find the time for himself. He's done everything that he needs to do. He's trying to find the time for himself and you interrupt that time.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you have a partner like that, bro, it's really hard for you to practice self-care because they're interrupting that practice. Yeah, so on the flip side of that, right? Like I'm in a relationship now where like I know if I have to take time to decompress and prioritize myself, there's not gonna be like this big fight or like, why are you playing that game? You know what I'm saying? And so like, it gives me the space to be able to say, yo, I'm gonna have a Friday to myself where I'm gonna go and get Chinese food and watch a movie. Or I'm gonna play Call of Duty for like 3 hours on Saturday because I just had a crazy week.
You're right.
And I don't wanna think about no more work. You know what I'm saying? So like, I really think it's important for brothers to really be able to assess like, who are you with and are they allowing you to create that space for yourself? And when you create that space, is there a bunch of friction associated with it? Do you feel friction about like just finding space for yourself? You know what I'm saying? Inside of your relationship. Because that's very important. It's like, yo, if you don't feel like you can create that space without friction, it's gonna create a blockage for you to create the space.
Bruh,
that's what happened. That's what happened for me. It's like, yo, I don't even want to create the space no more because every time I create the space gets interrupted.
Yeah, absolutely. So like and then what tends to happen is you just start accommodating more and more of the other person's needs and like you neglect your own in that way. You know, because like you're surviving. That's when you're just trying to survive in the relationship. You know? But that's so important. That's so important. And like you're hitting something that's really crucial. Because like not all tension is bad tension.
Right.
Not all friction is bad friction.
Right.
But the way you're talking about it, and again, if I come back to discernment, so what I tend to try to unpack for myself and also for others is the difference between what's a challenge and what's hardship. You know what I'm saying? Like challenge is the thing that's gonna help us grow. It doesn't also feel harmful to spirit. It might make us feel nervous because it's like uncharted territory, as opposed to hardship that feels it feels like pressure, it feels heavy, and it also can feel harmful. And like that kind of, and it also can create tension, and that kind of tension feels unhealthy. It's like, I feel like a smaller version of self, you know? And like that smaller version of self is also gonna respond in a way that's not aligned with what I really want to express, because I don't have the capacity to do it. As opposed to like the tension that exists where it's like, yo, you might have an argument about something that also is not about infringing on your freedoms and in your spirit. It's more about like, yo, you said or did this thing that is harming me in a way or making me feel blank. As opposed to like an attack or a thing that forces you to get defensive, because it's not about you, but it's about a person not being able to process their own discomfort. Like shorty coming to you and being like, why are you always playing this game? As opposed to, I want to spend more time with you. Or there's like a need that needs to be expressed here that I'm not getting. Or I feel like this because you're doing this. You know? And like that's the, and that kind of discernment, when we can't discern that, we will stay in situations longer than we need to.
Bro,
you know?
I'm telling you, bro. Even sometimes when we can discern it, we'll still stay in that situation, bro. Because it's like, yo, I don't want to be by myself. Bro, when I was in that relationship, bro, I'm telling you, I knew. I said, man, something's off.
Some intuition,
bro.
That's not intuition, nigga. That's it. Something is off.
Something is off.
Yeah.
I said, it feels good right now.
Bruh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I just completely disregarded that because I'm like, I don't want to be alone. I don't want to have to not be in a relationship, bro. And I think we don't talk about this enough for us as men, bro. We will make decisions about staying in relationships where we're not supposed to be in that relationship simply because we do not want to go through the process of being single.
Yeah, bro. And we don't, bro, come on. Like, because even outside of relationships, like the brother who's just like mistreating women all across the board, like I got like a roster or whatever, and like not being honest, right? So much of that is like, yo, just not wanting to be alone with your own thoughts or your own feelings, or like, why do I feel like, or alone, like just addressing the fact that you're lonely,
right,
and being honest about why you're going about things in the ways that you are,
right,
or like why you're misleading certain people, or like why you feel like you need a cachet of women in order to feel good about yourself. So much of that is like, it's the fear of being lonely. It's like the shame that comes from that of like, yo, I don't want to be by myself. I don't know how to be by myself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like, you've never done it. And so there's that discomfort that comes with like, yo, I'm alone with my thoughts. I'm like, and I'm now having to put my big boy pants on, and really figure out like what makes me happy. It's easier to, it's a lot easier to not have to think about that when you have other people surrounding you.
That's bro. You know? I'm telling you, bro. It's so crazy. I remember I was in a relationship when I was like teenage years, like going into college. And at that time, I had like really internalized the happy wife, happy life thing. You know, do whatever you need to do to make your partner happy. And there was a time where I think I was like asking myself, like, are you happy in this relationship? And I had realized I had spent so much time making this girl happy. And I had never really once sat to think about, are you happy? Like, are you enjoying this? And once I asked myself that question, I was like, yo, bro, I'm actually not enjoying this.
I don't like this at all.
I actually don't like this. I don't like most of the things I do. I only do it because she likes it. And she doesn't know to even ask me if I like it because she's happy.
She's happy. And bro, again, this is crucial because it's the thing I learned in my first co-parenting experience, right? So like Lila, my 8-year-old, her mother and I, we haven't been together for years. Like we split apart like right around first trimester. I remember us getting into an argument right around when like Lila was like 3. And it was around me, like I was just doing the most. Like we weren't together, but there was so much fear of like me potentially losing my daughter to a certain extent, like not having time with her. So I was just trying to do whatever it took. And so a lot of that was just me catering to every beck and whim, regardless of how it made me feel, because I thought that's what was required. Remember in the argument, she was like, I got mad about something because like I would leave work, pick Lila up from daycare, get dinner ready or whatever, and then she'd get to her crib because like the daycare was in the house, was in the same house that she was living in. So she get back from the crib, I'd get like, you know, she hungry, or I'm gonna go grab food for her, whatever. I remember us getting into an argument, and she was just like, "But you do it." She's like, "You haven't," and it came back to boundaries. It's like I never set the precedent. I never was like, no. I never was like, I don't want to do this. This makes me uncomfortable. I don't like this. I was moving out of fear. Right. So I was just saying yes to all these things because it's what she wanted.
Right.
And it felt easier for me to just say yes to the thing than actually having to navigate the tension of stating what it is I actually wanted. You know? And it was an eye opener for me. She was like, oh, you're doing it. Like, you're not saying no. She's like, you could say no, was actually what she said. It was so freeing because she was right.
Bro, I was gonna say she's right.
Yeah, like I'm mad at her, but I haven't expressed what I wanted. You know, to that extent of like, she's not asking, I'm also not saying anything.
Right.
You know, like she doesn't know to ask because she's happy, but I also haven't presented her with the information required to let her assess whether or not what she's doing is even helping or harming our relationship.
Right.
Because she doesn't know, because I'm not saying anything.
Oh man,
you know?
Bro. You know, and man, bro, it's so wild, bro, because like we get into relationships and we don't realize how much of like our thought process and like the things that we've learned is like almost like borderline dysfunctional, bro.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like we have so many of these things that we've like internalized based on like relationships we've seen in the hood or like in our families or whatever. Yeah. And we don't realize like a lot of the relationships that we've seen like growing up, like a lot of them are not like functional, healthy relationships, especially in the Black community, unfortunately. No. Unfortunately, so like we're getting taught a lot of dysfunction. Yeah. Like how to operate, how to create a dysfunctional relationship that looks functional.
Yeah. That
you know what I'm saying? That looks like it's good. Yeah. That presents itself as being healthy, but when you actually take a deeper look at it, actually dysfunction, bro.
Yes, yeah, and we, to your point, we don't have the tools, we don't have the resources, and I think also too, we've been taught a certain kind of language about love that we haven't given ourselves the opportunity to unpack, right? So like, when I'm having conversations with folks about romance, right? A lot of what I tend to talk about is language and definitions. And so when we think of romance, our brains generally just go to like relationships with whether it's same gender or opposite gender, like dating, fucking, sex, like all that stuff. And romance by definition has nothing to do with that. Right. Romance is really just about the experience of love, right? And like the adventure of love, which means that can happen with anything. Like I have romantic experiences with my children. And I say that because what I try to do for us is upend these ideas of what we think a thing is and what it actually is in reality. And so even when I think about the language of love and like where we've gotten it from, who we've learned it from, we haven't even given ourselves enough time to unpack it, you know, and sit with like, what does it actually mean for me to be in love with this person? Right. What do I need as a partner? What do I need from my partner? And is this an actual need? Or is this a thing, this is some unaddressed trauma? Right. And the only way we do that is we get curious about our experiences. Right. And we don't have enough room and language in order to properly do that. So we'll just jump into a thing and not knowing that it's unhealthy because we don't even have any language to discern whether it is or it isn't because we haven't seen the alternative. Right? And so we haven't given ourselves the opportunity to do that. We're not in enough spaces where it's like, oh, Jill and Aaron actually their love is really different. They talk with each other. So many of our experiences are shared. Right. Like the same thing that I'm doing, my man's over there is doing too. Right. So we're just doing it together and we don't have enough examples to show us like, oh wait, there's actually another way to love somebody. Or there's another way for me to be loved and embrace love and be in love. Yeah. It doesn't have to look like this.
Right, yeah, you know? Yeah. Nah, I love that, bro. I love that. I want to pivot a little bit because I think I have you here. I've never had this conversation on the podcast before, but you mentioned something on your page that I saw about like body positivity. The body positivity movement and how that hasn't like extended to Black men yet. First of all, can you explain what body positivity is?
Yeah, like everybody is valuable. Okay. And everybody matters, whether it's a fat body, whether it's a skinny body, a slim body, whatever the case is. Like the body positivity movement, and shout out to Chrissy King, who's a dear friend of mine. Who does a lot of work in that space, a Black woman in the space specifically, but it's really about celebrating all body types and embracing all body types as well. Yeah.
So do you feel like that's extended to Black men? And if it hasn't, how do you feel like it can?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely hasn't.
Okay.
I think, you know, the Black, like we're celebrating the perfect masculine physique in Blackness. Like there's no room. And I mean, it's funny because when I think of like white comedians, you know, I like, whether it be a Chris Farley, look at Adam Sandler, not for nothing, like their physiques are not like weren't perfect. They weren't shaped, they were fat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like there's a certain kind of body type that is deemed to be funny and celebrated. But like you're not gonna see like a fat Black man on the cover of anything. Hasn't happened yet. You know, and I think so much of that is because the Black male body is either to be viewed as like a sexual item or it's disposable. It's one or the other. There's no room for the nuance of like the body being what it is. Like niggas don't talk, we don't talk about our bodies.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We don't talk about what's wrong with our bodies.
Right.
You're either seeing like the most perfect masculine physique when it comes to Blackness or nothing.
Yeah.
Or nothing else. Like I don't even know. I'm trying to think of any other time I've seen a Black man who's on the cover of a thing who's not, we're easily identifying as attractive.
Right.
Who's just physically appealing to the masses. Because like that's what we are for the most part. Outside of that, in our homes, maybe. You know what I'm saying? We're seen differently. But like mainstream media, no, not at all. So like there's an essay in my book called Belly where I'm talking about my dad belly. You know what I'm saying? Like because it was me struggling with like my own physical presence, what that means. And then also too, being honest about it, the discomfort around it, how hard it is to stay in shape for me at times. So much of that is metabolism. So much of that is age, you know, genetics, you know what I'm saying? It's all these things. And Black women talk about their bodies freely, you know what I'm saying? And like, because it's deemed it's deemed more masculine to not talk about your body. Unless, of course, it's the perfect specimen. So we're talking about, yo, bro, what are you doing to get big? Like, your man's not like, yo, bro, like, you gained a lot of weight recently. And that, not a judgment on assessment. It's like, yo, like, talk to me. Like, what's going on? Or like, you've lost a lot of weight. Like, you know what I'm saying? We're working out in the gym together. Like, but we're not actually having real conversations about like, yo, I went to the doctor, bro, and I had my colonoscopy.
Right.
Like, you know, like, body positivity is about the physical form, like in and of itself. But like what I was trying to unpack in the essay is all the ways we as Black men choose not to talk about the things that make us uncomfortable because they're not masculine enough. And like wanting to create more space for us to just be humans.
Right.
You know, like human beings who are having real human emotions and feelings.
Right.
And like I think what we need to do is just be honest.
Yeah.
It's like what I wanted to do with the book is just talk about the things that I hadn't heard other Black men talking about.
Yeah.
It was things that I was feeling. It was things that I know I was thinking about. I'm talking about childhood sexual trauma that I endured, and I'm talking about going to therapy. I'm talking about postpartum. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about me having to run from gangs. I'm talking about some street shit. I'm also talking about some life and spirit shit because for me, those are the things that matter most. You know, because like I'm a whole human. And if you're not seeing me as a whole human, you're not seeing the totality of my experience, then you're not doing me any service. You know, I'm a Black man. I'm also a father. I'm a brother. I'm a lover. I'm a partner. I'm a community advocate. Like I'm all these other things. And so much of that is also it's more than my body. But if we're not addressing those things, like all those things, then you're not seeing me as a whole human either.
Right. Know? Yeah, man. Oh my gosh, man. You just, bro, you tapped into so much, bro. I'm trying to see which way I want to take it because it's like, bro, oh man, like I'm thinking about even my experience with like why I started going to the gym. I kept getting called skinny. Skinny. You so skinny. You so skinny.
Yeah, and you, bro, not for nothing. Like so much of that is cultural. Like you already like. If you come from the continent, you come from the island, like that is the way I come home for like Thanksgiving and my mom be like, oh, you put on weight. It's like the way we so haphazardly, and like women endure this as well, but the way we so haphazardly address each other in ways that not for nothing are inappropriate.
Right.
Like, no, like people like it, and because they're calling you skinny as a judgment.
Right.
It's like you don't want to be judged. You don't want to be embarrassed or shamed. And so you like, I'm gonna hit the gym. I want to work out. I want to look. I want to be deemed worthy. I want to feel attractive. I want women to think I'm sexy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right,
And
right.
like we are told our physical presence and prowess are the ways to do that.
Right.
And if I don't have that, then I'm not as manly as somebody else.
Right. Or I'm not even a man at all.
Exactly.
Right. Damn, bro. So many of my early days in the gym are just driven by shame. I'm not even gonna lie, bro. Literally,
Bro.
I'll be doing a set. I'm like, I think about somebody calling me skinny. I'm like, yo, bro. And then that will push me through a few more reps.
And like, and I think, and to be fair, I think there's something important and beautiful about that.
Yeah.
I think what would be more scary for me is if you weren't aware of it. Because what happens is the shame just eats us, and then we start doing other shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right,
It's like,
right,
well,
right.
then you're never big enough.
Right.
You're never tall enough. You
Right.
never look good enough. Which is why you see so many folks struggle with body image. That's why we see so many children struggle with body image, because there's so much shame around being too big or too skinny or not good enough. And it's like we have to create more space and more room for folks to feel vulnerable and safe about who they are and what they look like, and you know what I'm saying, how they're showing up in the world.
Bro, you know what you just made me think about when you talk about the body image stuff, his body dysmorphia.
Bro. Yeah.
Bro.
Some real shit.
Are you talking to black women? Bro, there's a lot of black women. I know we talk about black men,
but
I know there is a lot of black women that are dealing with body dysmorphia.
Absolutely.
Right now, bro.
Absolutely.
Bro, I think we have. It's like I want to call it a silent epidemic because I don't see a lot of conversations about it.
Yeah.
And it is creeping up more. And why do you think so many women are out here getting BBLs, getting all these different surgeries? And I have nothing against any of it. It's not me trying to bash any
I
of
hate
it.
it. No, absolutely.
But a lot of it is driven by BD.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot of it is driven by body dysmorphia. A lot of these women are out here looking at their natural, normal bodies and saying to themselves, this is not natural or normal anymore.
Yeah, and shout out to a good friend of mine, Simi Moonlight on IG.
Mm-hmm.
She's talked extensively on her platform about her own struggles.
Okay.
So I can say that in
I gotta tap
honesty.
in.
Yeah. Simi's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a fashion girly too. Like she be getting her fits off. And it's like, it's the honesty.
Yeah.
And it's the candor in which she's talking about, which is so important. And to your point, but it's relevant because if we're not cognizant of how the media, social media, especially in entertainment, portray women, right? And the expectation. I mean, because granted, the same expectation we have is not that different than the same expectation that black women have, especially of like, you have to have the perfect shape and the perfect body in order to get A, B, C, and D. You know what I'm saying? I think the issue that we struggle with as black men is that there's no room for healthy dialogue about that thing that we're feeling because we don't talk about it.
Right.
So you don't even know if a man is struggling with his own body image or not.
Right.
You know, until it's too late.
Right.
For whatever reason.
Right.
But nah, bro, you're absolutely right. That's a real thing. So much of that is it's about not having the space in the room
to even have the conversation, bro. I'm telling you, bro. And it's also about you have a parent that you grow up with that is consistently, yo, your body looks like this, or you're too big, or you're really gonna eat that.
Absolutely.
And we don't realize, like you talked about, like that haphazard way that we approach each other.
Yeah.
And not realizing like the long-term effects of that. Like you're constantly questioning somebody's choices when it comes to their body. So as a result, what they're gonna do is question whether their body is enough.
Bro, and it's like, and again, social media is such a big, creates so much more room for that, you know, because so much of this is also diet culture. And again, like Chrissy King talks about this a lot, like how diet culture, I think, is really harming a lot of people because it becomes a fixation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's the thing that it allows you also to kind of show up for this thing and not show up in these other areas.
Yeah.
Because if I just get the perfect physique, or if I just like measure my calories and count them by this much, and then it's like, it's okay to have goals.
Yeah.
But like the way that we think dieting is going to be the end all be all, you know, like physical health, yes. And a lot of our mental health can be contributed to our physical health.
Right.
But I think sometimes what we tend to do is alienate those conversations and keep them separate, or and not recognizing that if we're not having a conversation about our spiritual and mental health as well, and like what we're ingesting, like what we're taking in, the conversations we're having, who's around us, who's in support of the things that we're trying to do for our bodies, for our minds, for our spirits, whatever the case might be, we are setting ourselves in the community up for failure. You know what I'm saying? Like the way that social media allows us just to promote, again, the perfect body, the perfect aesthetic, the perfect diet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't allow room for your body to just be as is, because there are a lot of fat people who are healthy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, again, like the way people's genetics work, the way people metabolizing food and nutrients is different. And I like to say everybody, it's like everybody is different and everybody is different. You know what I'm saying? So we have to leave room for that.
Nah, I like that. That's a bar, bro.
You know?
That's a bar.
I've been saving that sometimes. You know what I mean?
Listen, I'm glad you graced us with that one, brother. Nah, I like that one.
Yeah.
Everybody is different.
Yeah.
And everybody is different.
Yeah, and you have to leave room for that. Like there's certain things that I can take that somebody else might not.
Right.
And like we'll prescribe a certain thing for a person and not ask again. You brought this up before, like asking the questions. Not assuming. Like what worked for me might not work for you.
Bro.
I can give you some tips, but at the end of the day, like the way your body digests and processes certain things, it's gonna be different. There's some overarching things that like work for not work for everybody, but are pretty consistent. But we still get to like ask ourselves, what does my body need?
Right. Nah, I like that because I like drinking smoothies a lot. Like I got into that as I started going through my physical health journey. But I can't tell another man like, yo, bro, just drink a smoothie and you'll look the same way I look. Like that's just not how that works. Bro. Like you have to be able to try out different things and be in tune with yourself. Absolutely. And this is why, bro, this is why it's so important for us to be able to check in with ourselves and know how we actually feel.
Absolutely.
How are we actually feeling about these things?
Yeah.
So when we talk about the logic thing earlier, where like we disregard so much of our feelings, like, bro, logic will help you because logic will help you to see like, okay, physically, this is what's changing with my body if I try this thing out. But like, for the most part, like when it's come to my physical health journey, like it hasn't been a lot of logic, bro. It's been mostly, okay, this is how my body feels when I do this thing.
Huge.
You get what I'm saying? I'm checking in with myself. Okay, this is how I feel after I do this thing. Yeah. This is how this thing makes me feel afterwards. I feel worse when I do that. Yeah. But other people are doing that and they're getting results. I don't really know. Yeah. maybe I shouldn't do that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, or I feel better when I do that. But this other dude said that that's bad for me to do. Yeah. I don't know. I actually gave me more energy. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Like some people say don't work out in the morning because it'll make you drained throughout the rest of the day. Yeah. I work out in the morning and I feel great throughout the day. There you go. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Some people say don't have a sugary meal the first thing when you wake up. I drink a smoothie after the gym, and that makes me feel great.
And like that's the thing too, because it's like even the idea of breakfast. You know, not to bash our white brothers who might be tuning in, but it's like that is like a European concept. Like breakfast in and of itself was created specifically and primarily in the 1800s as a way to like regulate what people were eating and how they were eating, because poor, marginalized people ate whenever, and they ate whatever at any time. And so it was like, in order to separate themselves from others, it was like, no, there are distinct meals you need to eat in the morning, right? And so like, there's so many of these things that we've created as foundations and as like tenets for how we show up in the world that are not actually adherent to like how we as a people and as a community have seen our values, our food, our practice, our spirit, like all of these things. And so this is why I just ask us to ask questions. And like, to your point, like what works for me? Like what is working for me? Like, you know, like me and my partner talk about this all the time, especially with the girls. Like there's no such thing as like bad food per se. Like you can eat the ice cream, you can eat the cake, you can't eat a whole bunch of it. It's the same way like if you're like, you need protein. Like if you're a vegan, doesn't mean that all you're gonna be doing is eating leafy greens for the rest of your life. There's too much of anything is not gonna be enough. Or it's gonna be too much rather. And so you just have to be mindful. You know what I'm saying? And I think when we start promoting diet culture, what it does is it creates shame. And it makes people start finding other ways to like satisfy the urge. And like if it's not the food, you're gonna find something else. You know, if you're not addressing the thing, you're always gonna be following the next fad or the next trend to like lose weight or feel better about yourself, as opposed to doing the real inner work of like, what do I need? What do I want? What is my body telling me I need? And what am I feeling called to do? You know?
Man, body dysmorphia, we got eating disorders.
Bro,
It's a whole bro, and I don't like. I know you said Semi Moonlight, right?
Yeah.
Semi's talking about it, and I appreciate Semi for that. But bro, I need to see a lot more of that, bro.
No, I agree.
I'm telling you, bro.
Yeah.
I've had some conversations with brothers when they're like, "Yo, bro, almost every shorty I talk to got some type of body dysmorphia thing."
Yeah.
She don't feel good in this. She don't feel good in that.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at her and I'm like, damn, you look great.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But she just doesn't see herself that way.
Yeah.
And it's leading to her wanting to go and do this or do that or going so crazy into like this fad diet or whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
so it's like,
man.
bro, I'm telling you, bro.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, bro.
This is why, like, yo, it's having to be so mindful of what we ingest. And I don't want to be the brother that sound like a 5%, and no knock on the 5%, it's mathematics. But like, yeah, you gotta watch what you know what I'm saying, the wisdom and not taking your body and your brain. You know what I mean? But it's real though. Like we'll just be in this endless loop of like TikTok and Instagram. We're getting all these ads. We're seeing these beautiful, perfect bodies. We don't know how we got them. We don't know how they got them. We don't know how they got there.
We don't even know if it's real.
This is what I'm saying, bro. And so like you see that, and whether you think you're immune to it or not, you aren't. Like when I see brothers who are doing like finger dips and then they got one leg up doing some Spider-Man with like 80-pound weights on their shoulders. I'm like, God damn, I can't do that. You know what I mean? Like,
it's a comparison.
This is subconscious, like need to want to be better in that way. And there's nothing wrong with that per se. But we also don't have enough space where, what was the language you used, man, when you were talking about the course you took in computer science?
Oh, building it ugly? Is that what you're talking about?
No, but like
computational critical thinking.
Bro, it's the critical thinking portion of this. It's like we also have not built up enough practice to be able to see the thing. And we also don't have a lot of social media literacy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like we were brought into this world of the internet without any real course language for it. It's not like back in the day where we were taught how to use computers. Right. Like we had Oregon Trail and like you had all these games. You had a CD-ROM. You sat in front of your computer. You were taught how to type. You were taught all these things. We're not taught the internet. Right. You learned it through practice. Right. And it was just given to us. And so social media is no different. We just were thrust into the MySpaces, the Black Planets, the Facebooks of the world. And so now we're dealing with a generation who's well-versed in the utilization of social media, but not having the critical thinking skills in order to discern whether or not this is appropriate, this makes me feel good. Like the dopamine makes us think that it's feeling good, but it's also causing so much harm, so much tension. And not to say like we need to leave social media, because like we wouldn't be having this conversation without social media. Right, I wouldn't write my book without it. So like I have so much community that's come from that. And also you got folks who are suffering from BED, like, do I look good enough? Am I pretty enough? These pants are too big on me. Like, I need to lose weight. I need to gain weight. I need to go on a diet, blah, 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 whatever. And so much of that is also been dictated by what we're ingesting on the internet.
Man, social media, bro. It's a gift and a curse. I always tell people it's a big Venn diagram. Ooh, whenever you're on social media, bro. I love using that analogy so people can understand what you're doing when you're on social media, bro. You got your side, you got whatever it is that you're seeing on the feed, and then you got what you're doing, which is trying to see what you have that is comparing to what they have that you don't have. Yeah. That's what we're doing the entire time on social media. So I try to limit my time on social media. I literally put a 45-minute timer.
I love that.
Or lock on it. And like if it's Saturday and Sunday, like I'll probably go a little bit over that. But I try to make sure I'm staying within that 45 minutes because if not, I find myself eventually I find a post that makes me feel worse about myself.
Man, that's awful.
And it's because somebody feels better about what they're doing. Ooh. Oftentimes.
Yeah, man. That's
and that's a terrible place to be in. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, I'm doing great stuff, they're doing great stuff, because I perceive their great stuff to be better than my great stuff. I feel worse about my good stuff. You get what I'm saying?
Your stuff ain't even good no more.
My stuff is trash.
Yeah.
Fuck off. God damn, man.
I ain't doing shit no more.
Fuck this, man.
Bro, yeah.
Look at what they did. Yo, bro, this is crazy. Yeah. That's crazy, but that's what we do all day, bro. You can literally graduate. But if you see somebody else that graduated and got a car, all of a sudden your graduation don't mean shit.
I ain't get no car.
You know, fucking BMW. God
damn. I didn't even get a car.
Now you feel terrible.
Yeah.
Now it's like, damn, the next thing I gotta do is get a car. Then you get a car, like, all right, you see somebody else with a better car, you're like, oh man, I can't believe I don't got that car.
Bro, listen, man, you speaking facts, man. Like I remember, this is why too, we were talking about, we talk about the self-care journey and the conversation around that. What I appreciate about that is, me, from myself having to recognize climbing a mountain was no longer important to me, right? So I remember like wanting to give a TED talk and that being on my bucket list. I gave a TED talk. And then I got it and I was like, it then became, okay, what's the next thing?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like major published author. Okay. And it's like, I've gotten to the point where like, I'm content.
Right.
If I never write another book in my life, I'm good.
Right.
My family's straight. You know what I'm saying? Like I got a job that pays me well.
Right.
I still have my creative practice. I get to show up for community in this way. I'm good, you know, and I had to be able to let that go. But so much of that was having to reimagine what success looked like for myself. And also giving myself the room and freedom to be like, yo, I don't have to assign any sort of, like value on like what I produce or what I do anymore as like the measure for how good I am or how worthy I am.
Right.
You know, so I still have those bouts of like, I might be on social, oh damn, you nigga wrote 2 books. You know what I'm saying? And like having to work through that also and own that feeling. And also question, where does that come from?
Right.
And to your point, bro, so much of that is like, it's just what's being given to us, what's being fed to us through the algorithm. We have no control over it.
Right. And I think also for me, part of it is like a level of insecurity in what I've done. It's like, man, is what you've done even enough?
But
because I'm always looking to get, you talked about this earlier, to find that worth through my production.
Absolutely.
So it's like, okay, if what you've done isn't enough, then as a result, you aren't worthy.
And it will never be enough. If
You know
you're
what I'm
black,
saying?
if that's the thing that you're binding yourself to as a black man, it'll never be enough.
Right.
So we see elder black men, when we hit that phrase of they work themselves to death. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get somewhere, trying to prove something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or responding to a thing that we've left behind. Like, I ain't going back to that. Or I grew up this way, and so I'm never gonna do that again. And it's like, at what point is enough? And because we don't have guardrails around that, we haven't created spaces for like your homeboy to just be okay with taking care of yourself.
Right.
And having a self-care practice. Man, listen, it we'll live a lot longer if we're less focused on what we produce.
Right. Nah, I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you. So like, I literally, like you said, I have to sit down with that sometimes and be like, bro, why do you feel worse about yourself? You're doing so much good stuff, bro.
Yeah,
like, what's up with you, bro?
Absolutely.
And I just take some time to like, just kind of like process that, because I think I think it's important for us to understand what's happening there, bro. Like, oftentimes what's happening a lot of time for a lot of us, or what happens with a lot of us is like, we don't take that time at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
As a result, we just continuously feed ourselves, and we continuously feel worse and worse and worse and worse and worse about ourselves.
Absolutely.
Which lowers our self-esteem, which eventually impacts the way that we produce, which then creates the cycle. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like we're continuously in the same, we're in the same cycle. So if you don't break it, I was just talking to a therapist about this. She was like, I forgot what the quote she used was, but she was basically saying like, cycles continue until the pattern is disrupted, right? And if you don't interrupt the pattern, you're gonna continuously go through the same cycle. So if I don't stop myself and ask myself, why do I feel worse because somebody feels better? I'll continuously go through the same cycle of feeling worse every time I see somebody doing quote unquote better. And I'll never be content with where I'm at. And I'll continuously, I love how conversations come full circle.
Same.
I'll continuously feel like I have to go and do all these crazy things, sacrifice time with my family, and sacrifice all these different things, because I have to continuously produce and produce and produce to be better and better and better and better. But like you said, to your point, like, bro, it's never gonna be enough. So you have to define what enough is for you. Like, I like the fact that you talk about success metrics, because it's like, bro, I get to define what that is.
Absolutely.
I don't have to be defined by what somebody else is doing on social media. Just because their success metrics look different than mine doesn't make mine any less valuable.
Yeah, bro, and like, something really important is, I've been thinking about this a lot more as I've been aging. It's fun, like, I'm thinking about death, and not to be morbid, but like, death in the sense of, and bringing it back, like, I remember Jay-Z in an interview talking about folks chasing like what's hot, because they want to stay relevant. So you just do things. You do things to stay relevant. Like, not for nothing, I like the game, right? I love the game as an MC. But like when I see the things he does, I'm like, oh, it's a person who's trying to stay relevant.
Right.
And I get it. Like you want to stay relevant in the eyes of the community.
Right.
And so you just say you'll do things that don't feel aligned with the art or like even the choices that you feel like a person would make that is thinking intentionally about their image and like perspective.
Right.
And so I think about, bro, one day I'm gonna be 68 and no one's gonna give a fuck.
Right.
And not in a sense like I'll have community, but like we age out of experiences.
Right.
And I don't think that's a bad thing at all. It's just the reality of it. Like there's certain places I can't go anymore or things I can't do because they're childish.
Right.
And that's not a knock on like childish things, but I can't go to the club, to a certain kind of club on like, when I know there's gonna be like 21-year-olds. I'll be feeling weird going into Urban Outfitters now, bro, because it's like,
a bunch of little kids in there,
bro. Yeah, they'd be like 18, 13-year-olds. Like, why am I buying sweatshirts in here?
Yeah.
I might buy them online. I ain't going in the store no more. It's crazy. It's crazy. I look like I'm a security guard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, but like I say that though, just because we'll continue to like, yo, I gotta stay relevant. I gotta do the thing. I gotta keep producing because I gotta stay in the public eye or I gotta have people's attention. It's gonna get to some point in time where like there's a new flavor.
Yeah.
People and like we get to age gracefully. We get to age out of things and age into new things and we get to be comfortable with that. But if you've never had kind of, again, we talk about full circle, if you've never had time alone, if you've never had time to be able to really ask yourself, what do I care about? What do I love? What do I need? What do I want that is not contingent on me producing, or it's not contingent on me using somebody, or it's not contingent to my relationship to a thing or a person.
Yeah.
You will be floundering out here in a world that, especially in this ageist world that we live in today, where the social media attraction and what people are drawn to is not the 73-year-old, it's not this 55-year-old.
Yeah.
It's a young man's and woman's game.
Yeah.
And if I'm not comfortable with myself, if I don't feel safe in myself, and myself that exists outside of this perfection, like I'm aging.
Yeah.
Like the bags are getting heavier. Like we're gonna, our muscles atrophy. And like, that's not a bad thing. We get to age beautifully. There's something beautiful about age. But we're so in fear of that and so in fear of not seeming relevant or important or beautiful, we will do whatever it takes in order to maintain this image.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're not living beyond that image, you will die unhappy because you're gonna be chasing the thing that is not consistent or constant. It's like fleeting. We age, we lose these things.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And so like, what does it mean to be a person who is steeped in the practice of like my internal happiness and what's my internal compass? Like what actually brings me joy? And it's not gonna be production.
Yeah, nah, man. I think that's the whole moral of this episode. Is like, I want Black men to like really listen to this and try to understand like defining what their experience is and what they'd like it to be.
Yeah.
What's the gap in between where you are right now and how you get to where you want to be. And just being unapologetic about going to get that thing, like setting up the self-care for yourself. Defining what masculinity is for yourself. You know, divesting from performative masculinity and trying to always produce, setting up your own success metrics, even if that doesn't align with what you see on social media, and not always listening to the people that you see on social media. Because like I mentioned, bro, sometimes, bro, I see some people on social media and they're like, yo, this is what you need to do to get to the bag. This is what you need to do to do this, do that. And it's like, bro, like, I've sat down with you. You're unhappy. You have a lot of like bad, super bad energy. But you're a millionaire. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this is not a knock on anybody, bro.
I hear that.
Holistic wellness is a real thing. And I think we as Black men, we get so caught up in the financial of it. And I understand because of where we are as a society and what society tells us we need to do. But at the same time, what ends up happening when we do that is like, we get this bread and then everything else is in shambles.
Absolutely.
We're out of shape. Mentally, we're messed up. We're not tapped in with our emotions, our intuition. We have no relationship with God or a very scarce relationship. We don't pray. We don't have any type of like spiritual relationship at all. We don't talk to our ancestors. We don't do nothing. We're not tapped into that at all. You know what I'm saying? We don't got a good social relationship. We don't talk to our bros about nothing. But bread.
And that's that. I can't. That just feels like a very unworthy existence.
I'm not doing that, bro. I refuse to live my life on earth. And the only thing I'm focused on is making millions of dollars.
Bro, like
I'm not I refuse, bro.
My favorite black, I mean, if I'm thinking about Malcolm X, if I'm thinking about Dr. King, if I'm thinking about Muhammad Ali, if I'm thinking about Dick Gregory, who gave up millions as a comedian in order to serve, to give his body up really to the civil rights movement, and then also to wellness for so many years. It's this idea that, again, we're not a monolith, and there needs to be something more than like the tangible product that we strive for as Black men.
Right.
And and not for nothing, like, and bro, you summed this up perfectly. Something I didn't get to talk to and mention is like giving ourselves grace.
Right. Please
You know what I'm
talk
saying?
about it. Yeah.
Like this idea that like you're on this journey, like you mentioned, like the in between. And if you're not where you want to be, like that's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like there's again that discernment of not necessarily saying that you're settling for a less than version of self,
Yeah.
but recognizing there are steps needed to get to a certain place, and you're not there yet, and that not being there yet is actually okay. Because you will get there eventually.
Yeah.
But you can't rush that. You can't rush that process. There's nothing you can do to expedite the thing that is going to take time.
Right.
Every revolution takes time. That's why it's called the revolution.
Right.
It's like it's the revolving of a thing, right? And we have to give space and time and grace for that.
Yeah.
And again, for me, it's the building it ugly.
Yeah.
Like whether it's the body, whether it's the community, whether it's the workplace, whether it's like your spiritual practice, it's like you just start. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the last thing is like, what I cared about when I was 28, 30, 35 is different than what I care about at 41.
Yeah.
And I would have never known that until I turned 41. And so much of the grace is also extending grace to myself for the version of self that I'm not to be yet.
Yeah.
And I could have never imagined I'd be where I'm at right now.
Right.
And it's a blessed position for me to be in. And also, I had to give myself grace for the versions of self that didn't feel like it was good enough to get here. And being okay with that. And I didn't have language for that. You know what I'm saying? Because I think so much of us don't, like, there were so many versions of self that I was grieving that I didn't give myself time to do as well. But having to give myself grace for that has been a game changer for me. It's like to forgive myself.
Yeah.
And also hold myself accountable. You know, in that way.
Nah, I love that, bro. I know you write and you've written your own book, bro, and you mentioned a few books that have really impacted you in your development. I cannot let you leave here without you giving like book recommendations. I know you mentioned a few. If you have any others or you want to use the same ones, like I'm cool with it. But
I mean,
just give book recommendations that can help the brothers that help you.
I'll tell a couple of, I'm gonna tell you what I don't want. I want brothers to stop reading. I want brothers to stop reading 40 Laws of Power.
Okay.
And you know, like I want us to like, listen, and it's like
he came with his list of books not to read.
Bro, cause what we'll do, is like we'll focus on the books that's like, yo, how do I get wealth and how do I be a better man? And like we're looking for those as title descriptors as opposed to like, how am I building a spiritual cachet of wellness? You know, and so like, bro,
we see that book and we go, ugh.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna read this, man. I'm gonna get rich in 40 days.
Right,
like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, read that. Okay, you know, I say like, read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I love that.
Yeah.
And also, like, yo, pick up Octavia Butler's Parables of the Sower. You know, and Parables of the Talents. Parable of the Talents, rather. Because it's like, so much of what's being communicated in this fictional tale is very relevant to what's happening politically in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm always gonna recommend a brother pick up Toni Morrison. Like, if you wanna explore your emotions and also feelings and also language and understanding cultural language, and like, you pick up the literature that's gonna help us reimagine. Like, I get more creative when I'm reading fiction. Fiction just does that for me. But I think if there was like one book that I would want a Black man to pick up, and I mean, I did mention a couple. I'll just mention those again. I think Spirit of a Man by Ayanna Van Zandt was actually it was a game changer for me. Okay. Because like by the time I finished reading it out, I written out like cue cards, because what she does is she gives you different words to utilize as like prayers. You know, and so I would use those cards in like prayer and meditation to kind of come back to self. I would recommend Everything and Nothing at Once. Black Man's Reimagined Soundtrack for the Future. I think. I mean, you know, there's an essay in the book called What Kind of Black Are You? And so much of that is kind of talking to how we're not a monolith. And so getting to ask ourselves the question, like, what kind of Black man am I? Like, am I the thug? Am I the nerd? Am I the queer Black man? Am I the confused Black man? Am I the scared Black man? Like, asking ourselves those kinds of questions allow us to tap into the spaces that maybe need more nurturing, maybe need a bit more care, a bit more love. I mean, there's a couple of books by Franz Fanon. I'm losing the titles here, but there's also a book that I really really love, Revolution and Evolution.
Okay.
By Grace Lee Boggs and James Lee Boggs.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think just a book that's really pertinent for like how we're thinking about systems of revolution and radical liberation.
Mm-hmm.
Just really timely. Last book, we almost forgot to mention this, but it's probably my favorite book. It's called Freedom Dreams.
Okay.
By Robin D.G. Kelly.
Okay.
And it's really about utilizing the Black imagination and reimagining Blackness through the lens of social justice and advocacy. Just because it's like a really beautiful, empowering book. It's also like a history lesson.
Okay.
Robin is breaking down a lot of practices and the foundations required for, I think, what we need right now. Right. It's like a Black revolution. I think we're starting to see it. I think we're starting to see more art be created in ways that we haven't seen in some time. I think there's a lot more Black men and women and non-binary folks included who are talking through and talking about radical ways of liberation and being that I think we haven't seen probably since like the 70s and 60s, which I think is really important. And Freedom Dreams, I think, really allows us to tap into that a bit more.
Man, Joél, this has been a dope conversation, bro. I need you to tap in. Tell the people where they can tap in with you, how they can support you, how they can get your book. If you selling any merch or like you got speaking engagements or whatever, or you're like booking for speaking engagements, whatever, bro. Just tell the people how they can tap in with you.
I mean, bro, all that. Like, I mean, not for nothing, I've been trying to do more college and university conversations. But you know, I'm on IG, Instagram. I am Joél Leon on IG. The book is available. I mean, I prefer people don't buy it on Amazon.
Okay.
Free Palestine. But you can get it at Bookshop. You can get it at Barnes & Noble. You can get it any place. Honestly, you can get it at your local bookshop. If it's not there, ask for it. They can order it for you. Your local library. You know what I'm saying? And I just want us to be good to each other. I want us to be better to each other. I want us to make more room for conflict and for tension, for disagreement, and for love. I hope my book allows folks to feel like they can do that. And like I think that's the thing I want most. I just want us to be talking to each other and with each other more, and holding space for each other more. I think Black men deserve safety. Black men deserve love. Black men deserve to be respected. They also deserve to be held, and to also be shown that they are more than what they produce.
Right. Yeah. No, I love that, bro. One last time so that people can leave knowing what the book title is so that they can go and find it once they get off the podcast. What's the name of the book?
Everything and Nothing at Once. Black Man's Reimagined Soundtrack for the Future.
Okay.
Yeah, so like if there's a place that you go to get books, you know, go ahead, find it. Also too, if folks are in New York City or the tri-state area. Every last Friday of the month for the most part, unless something changes, Let's Get Free at Milk and Pole over in Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy.
Okay.
Just a monthly gathering. So folks are looking for a safe space to convene, to strategize, to talk about community building, love, relationships, liberation, all those good things, creativity, art. That's the place to be.
Brother. Joél, thank you so much, brother.
Thank you, son. Appreciate you.
Of course, bro. Of course, man. This has been a dope episode.
Thank you so much for watching this episode. If you are planning an event or you are part of your organization's Black employee group and you are interested in having dope Black mental health professionals or myself come in and do a speaking engagement or a workshop or a keynote address or a panel, please click the link in our bio on Instagram or TikTok, scroll down and click Book Us for Speaking and Brand Deals and fill out the form available on our website. Once you fill out the form, one of our team members will get back to you about how we can collaborate and create something dope for your organization. This is an unparalleled opportunity. We are currently the largest Black men's mental health platform, and we have a few slots available for our calendar year, and we would love to partner with you to create something dope for your organization if it makes sense for both parties, right? So go to the link in our bio, scroll down, click Book Us for Speaking and Brand Deals, and fill out that form. If you're not on Instagram, the link should be linked in our description of this episode. And it is also on our website. If you go to expressyourselfblackman.com/speaking-brand-deals. That's expressyourselfblackman.com/speaking-brand-deals. If you are looking for a therapist, a Black therapist, and you've had a hard time finding one, you've jumped from therapist to therapist, or you just don't know how to find a therapist, we are teaching a free webinar. It's completely free, taking you from not knowing how to find a therapist, not knowing where to search for therapists, struggling with finding good therapists for you, not knowing what to look for in therapists, teaching you all of those different things, and also giving you the opportunity at the end of the webinar to be connected with one of our safe haven healers who are Black mental health professionals, so that you do not have to go through the struggles of finding a Black therapist alone anymore, right? So if you're interested in that, you want to get connected with a Black mental health professional at the end of the webinar, or you just want to learn how to find a Black therapist by yourself, you can sign up for the free webinar. It's linked in our bio on Instagram and TikTok. You just click that free webinar link once you click the link in our bio and fill out the form. You can also find it on our website at expressyourselfblackman.com/links and fill out the form there for our next webinar session. If you're not interested in any of that, right, but you know someone that may be interested in it, all we ask is that you please share it. If you want some of the merch that we show on the platform all the time, that we're wearing on the platform all the time, you can shop it at shop.expressyourselfblackman.com. And once again, we just want to say thank you so much for watching this episode. Thank you so much for supporting us. Please, if you are on YouTube, leave a like, subscribe, comment. If you're listening to this on an audio platform, please leave a review. It helps us out greatly. Thank you so much for your support. We're wishing you nothing but the best and sending you and your family and your loved ones love and light. Peace.